please don't hear any of this, Brad.
And Dad's like, I got the fuck out of there. I was like, oh man, you didn't partake?
Do you fear death?
Oh, one of the greatest lines of all time.
I
Very
could have
underrated.
it. I could have chopped it.
Trumpinator 2020.
Making me 30 sides of red sauce.
Listened to so much. Are you
That needs to, motherfucker.
I'm glad. Thanks for sharing all that with me. That's, it's as a white male, that's the experience you have.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like you don't understand what it's like to be a woman who's constantly getting hit on, or whatever.
Exactly.
The female experience, they call it,
Exactly.
right?
Mhm.
You don't know because you don't deal with it. You don't have the black experience, so you don't know. All you know is what you observe and the other people you know.
Exactly.
Right? And so I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to understand what that's like. I'm married to a woman, so I can I can I don't know if men and women will ever give it figured out. We're always gonna have our our differences and things, and I understand women a little more after being married 17 years than I did before, but I don't know if I'll ever understand them. Because we're different genders. But the race thing to me, it doesn't make sense. It's like, I would get it from your perspective, like how you could hate somebody, or even if a black person committed a crime on a white family, I could see maybe something there.
Having some type of animosity. Let me
right. But in general, I've never had a crime committed toward me by anyone who's really black or white, like crimes, so like I don't have a basis or a foundation of racism. I had a grandfather on my mom's side who would use words that were no longer appropriate, not even maliciously, but just because he grew up hearing that. And like you were saying, it's taught. It's taught both ways. It's taught not to say it, or it's learned behavior. And that's definitely ways we need to progress beyond that.
And that's the only way, because I think, right? Because people like age themselves out of situations, right? So
Right.
if you in a thing, if in a household is being taught, man, yeah, of course, love yourself, love your people, you love where you come from.
Right.
That's in all races or whatever. But
Yeah,
also you don't have to put somebody else down. You know what I mean? To build yourself up.
Right.
And that's when anything. It can be any individual, right? Justin don't have to put Brad down to build himself up. Just take the color barriers out of there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And things like that.
Right.
So,
but I will say, just from an entertainment lover, I feel like that has been happening in entertainment. I feel like white men, especially, have really been kind of put out to pasture. It's like, we're done with you guys, and now diversity's fine. I have no problem with diversity, but like within storytelling, I feel like what they're doing now is saying, let's get a diverse cast and then tell a story. Okay. Instead of saying, we've got this great story, now let's cast it with a diverse cast.
Okay.
Right?
Now expose more on that, because I don't know, the people I grew up liking, it was the people I grew up liking, like,
sure.
Like, man, he passed away from drugs. What was his name? Chris Farley? Like, I like Chris Farley. I always loved Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
And actually, Jim Carrey came under black family of the Wayans brothers.
Yes, he did, dude. And that show, by the way,
In Living
Color was, is, and will always be better than Saturday Night Live has ever been, in my opinion. Dude.
That's
Kim Wayans, Damon Wayans,
Marlon,
Jamie Foxx. Who else?
Marlon,
Sean.
Kim.
Who was David Allen Greer?
David Allen Greer, exactly.
Dude, Two Snap. You remember all that shit? Gay Men on Film.
Yes.
Dude, those sketches were hilarious.
Yeah.
In fact, Jim Carrey was one of the only two white people on that
Yeah,
cast.
and
It was
look
him
how
and that
he
chick.
became bigger than everybody.
Yeah, well, Jamie Foxx did pretty well.
Yeah, Jamie Foxx did too, but man, like Liar, my favorite movie is what it Dumb and Dumber. Like,
did you see Jamie Foxx play, was it Ray Charles?
Ray Charles, things like that.
He went, man, that guy's Trump is hilarious. Have you seen his Trump?
I haven't seen
Fox's Trump?
No, I haven't seen.
Oh my God, Fox has one of the best Trumps I've ever seen.
That's crazy.
That dude is so talented. I remember watching him in junior high on In Living Color. And you remember when he used to do the ugly lady? Was it Wanda or something?
Yeah, oh,
How did that?
yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
that was funny, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude.
in living color.
You had Fire Marshal Bill.
Fire Marshal Bill. That was
Let me tell you something.
Yep. And,
Oh man, so many good sketches. Tommy Lee Davidson. Did we mention him? That little dude.
Yeah, Tommy Lee. Yep.
He was on there. He was fantastic.
And
But see, again, as a white kid growing up, like that was one of my favorite shows. I didn't think anything about it. But again, my parents, I didn't grow up in a racist household.
Yeah.
I was taught to love everybody,
exactly.
you know, and I guess that doesn't happen in every household.
Yeah, and that's why I always say, man, it's you never judge a group, you judge the person.
Exactly. The individual.
Do you judge the individual?
Sure.
You know, you can't go around with a
So that's the answer.
Yes.
I think is judge individuals.
mm-hmm.
You know, I think it's been tricky when it gets into comedy,
Yes.
right? Because
Mhm.
comedy is meant to make people laugh over common beliefs,
Yes.
you know, whatnot.
Mhm.
And I think things got so woke there that you couldn't make fun of anything. Everybody got so offended,
Mhm.
right? And it's like we're just always on edge and everything's tense. But man, just be cool to your brothers. Just
Yeah.
be cool, man.
Yes.
That's it. Like
That's all you gotta
there's
do.
no need for hate unless that hate is deserved or earned.
Yes.
And at that level, it would be at an individual level.
That's a fact. That's a fact. And that's the way I look at things. You know, just judge the person. You know, and this is all. I mean, it just did not sound cliche, but just go back to the whole Martin Luther King thing.
Yeah.
Judge a man by the content of their character.
Yeah.
And not the color of their skin. And that goes all the way around. It can
Absolutely.
be a black person judging a white person, white person.
Absolutely.
You know, when you just judge the content of a person's character, now
Right.
anybody can be a flawed person. Anybody can be a person that's on bullshit and a low down person. That's anybody. It's all the way around.
Yeah.
You got plenty of black people like that, plenty of whoever like that. But you just gotta judge that person and not everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've been, you know, as a white male in 2024, there is a perception that white people are racist assholes, and I hate that.
So, but what are
And
you
that's
watching?
always been around, but it's
Yeah.
like, how do we get away from that?
Yeah.
You know,
But what are you watching that shows that majority of the time?
I mean, you watch leftist media. I mean, if you look at a lot of, especially people on the left, talking about the white male, the patriarchy, trying to tear down that whole thing. And it's like, you know, there's so many discussions right now about men being the head of the family and all that. But it's like, well, really, it's a mother and a father. It's a co-shared thing. I don't believe that the father outranks the mother. You know, that's a co.
Do you believe in leadership in the family though? Do you think the man's supposed to lead the woman, lead the family?
Man, I think you each have strengths.
Yes.
You know, my wife's got things that she can do that she's way better than me. I think no. I think in my household, we are a unified body. You know, if my kids are going to do something that's going to piss off mama and she's going to ground them, and I'm over here saying no, that's not. You know, we're divided, then we're not going to be able to. We have to have a unity. So no, I don't necessarily believe that there's like a patriarchy who has to control. You know, I think it's a team. I think it's 50-50, 100%.
Okay,
That's how I believe it. I don't think that there's any one and I will also add this: in most relationships I know, the women wear the pants, and they are actually the head of the household.
Yeah,
the
'cause
man
it's
is completely
always-
subservient to them.
because it's always like happy wife, happy life, right?
Yes.
But a lot of times a woman don't want somebody that's always going to bow down to the every.
A lot of them do though.
You think so?
A lot of the women I know
Just bowing down.
in the
and-
relationships they're in, yes, the men are very much subservient. And that's a change from when I was growing up. Now, it wasn't right to have the man be in charge and treat the woman like an
Exactly.
object. That wasn't cool
Yeah.
either, but I feel like it's completely flipped to where most of the men I know who are in relationships are, I've got to ask permission. I've got to
Oh, yeah, I gotta get-
get
Can mommy let me out the house? Can mommy do...
that.
You still got to be a man and be able to say, hey, this is the way we doing things. Because just imagine, and like you said, we getting off of the heavy stuff for a second, but maybe this going to something else. That's
Yeah,
heavy.
we'll move around.
You know, it's just
How
like
long you been married?
I've been with my wife since 2000. Oh man,
You better not forget on.
yeah, probably been married about 10 years. I think we've been there about 10 years.
Okay.
About 10 years.
You know when your anniversary is?
Yes,
don't you?
yes.
Okay, you better not forget it.
July 31st. So I remember that. I remember that one.
You know, last year, 2023, I forgot my wife's birthday.
But that's just being together for a long time. Sometimes.
Well, my excuse was I thought it was on Wednesday, and so her birthday's on the 20th, which was a Tuesday. But for some reason, I don't know if I looked at the wrong calendar. What I thought it was on Wednesday. So on Tuesday, me and the boys getting all our stuff ready. You know, we do like a scavenger hunt. So I give her clues. You know, she got to find her presents and everything. So Tuesday goes by, her birthday. We're getting everything ready for Wednesday when I think her birthday is. She didn't say a word, dude. She didn't bring it up all day.
Just said nobody said happy birthday.
Yeah, she didn't say a word. And then we did all the birthday stuff Wednesday morning, like when she got home. You know, and we're like giving her you know, we got some candy for. She had a big sweet tooth. Got all the candy and gave her her clues. And she goes, "My birthday was yesterday."
Wow.
I was like, "No, it wasn't." And I look at my watch. It's like, "Fuck, we
How
missed
did that
it."
turn out for you?
She was cool about it.
Real?
She didn't say a word, but that's the kind of lady she is.
That's pretty cool.
But then she'll bring it up.
Oh yeah, yeah.
periodically.
You know she gonna
Well, you
have to
forgot
go
my
ahead.
birthday last year. You know, that
Exactly.
kind of thing.
Man, what about the kids? Did they get it too?
They apparently knew it was the wrong day and didn't say anything to me.
But did they wish her happy birthday?
On the 20th?
Oh.
No, apparently I don't know. I think I convinced all of them that it was on Wednesday, but then after I'd screwed this up, then they all came back and were like, "Yeah, we knew it was on Tuesday." I'm like, "Why didn't you say anything?
Oh man.
We thought you knew what was going on." It was like,
Oh, they
"Don't."
thought you just doing it a day later or something like
I
that.
don't know. I don't know how that all got squared off. I don't know. But yeah, but she was cool about it. She didn't mention it all day. I mean, we had prepared everything. We just did it a day late because I had it in my head that it was Wednesday. But it has been brought up multiple times since. Well, I mean, you did forget my birthday.
Oh
last
yeah,
year, so
you know this gonna get thrown out.
it's gonna get thrown out.
It's gonna get thrown out. I mean, she got it right.
It's gonna get thrown out. But one thing I really attracted me to your personality was the way you talk about your kids, man. You're a dad.
Yeah.
You're in dad mode right
Yes.
now. You got 2 kids,
Yes.
and you loving it.
I'm loving it. Yes.
The oldest is 14,
Aaliyah's 13.
13, and then the youngest one's
JJ 6.
6. Yeah,
He's 6, and I was a young father. I had my daughter came when I was 22.
yeah.
You know what I mean? I didn't have it.
That's
all.
not that young,
Yeah.
like statistically.
Really?
But if you look, historically, most people are 20 years apart. Like
Huh?
my grandpa was 20, my dad was 20, my great grandpa was 20 when they had kids. Seems like we're getting later and later now. Like I was 20.
Yes, a lot of people are.
I was almost 28 when I had my oldest one.
And I was almost when JJ. I know because I bought that house when I was 29. So I was 29 when JJ was born.
Hmm?
And I was like, man, that was late in life. Now I kind of wish there was a little bit more in the same age bracket, but it worked out perfect.
Well, honestly, I think back in the day, I mean, you needed to get started. You needed kids to help with the farm.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of rural areas, worked on farms and stuff, and they'd get out of high school and they'd go start working on a farm. They got a family to help them. You almost needed help
You did.
around you, right? Or you needed, whatever it was. Now we've got so many more luxuries. You can just live your life until you're 30, right? And just
You can.
your
can.
parents have money, and you can just
You can
kinda-
stay at home and go to college and
right.
and honestly, that's probably kind of what you want your kids. You don't want them, of course, to be no lazy little
No.
people that's growing up, but you don't want to kick them out to society with a bunch of bills and let them be behind the 8 ball.
not at
You know
all.
what I mean? To me, long as you're doing something, and I mean really doing something. If you're going to go work a regular job, then go get your own place because
Yeah.
I don't like average things. I don't want C's and D's in my house. I want A's and B's, and if
Yeah.
you get an A, I want that because
Yeah.
I'm teaching you not to be an average person because I know what average gets you.
Yeah.
In real life, not just in school, but if you keep those things out in the real life, you always gonna be behind the 8 ball,
Sure.
right? You're always
Yeah.
gonna be behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, there's truth in that.
So, if kids can stay with me, you going to college, or you learning some type of trade, then you can stay with me. I got you.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
if you're just going to be a regular person,
Yeah.
There's no point in sending your regular ass.
If you're just gonna be playing video games
Yeah,
all
yeah,
day,
yeah,
ain't gonna be any of that.
Yeah, you go get
No,
your
I
apartment
get
and go ahead
Yeah.
and do that.
As
But
long as you're working toward a goal.
as long as you're working toward a goal,
Yeah, sure.
you know what I mean? That's something that's going to benefit you out here in the real world. That's what I'm more about.
I guess the way I'm looking at it is, at that time it was like, hey, I'm young, I want to
Mm-hmm.
experience my life, and then now at 43 with a 9-year-old, it's like, man, we should have done this a lot sooner.
Yes.
It's like I'm
Exactly.
too old for this shit.
Yeah.
I'm getting my ass kicked, dude.
Mhm.
Like literally, out there playing football
Yeah.
or karate on the trampoline. These kids are beating the
and
shit out of me.
Yeah, and you want to go out there and you want to be an active dad. You want to be out there enjoying it.
Yeah,
Spending time. You want to watch how much time you spend away from home and at home.
yeah.
You know,
But like, dude, I mean, 40 years old. I know people who are younger than me who have grandkids.
whoa.
My grandparents. Were
No,
40.
I'm saying, whoa. My brother got one of his kids. That was my nephew that I was saying about that happened to.
Yeah.
That my same brother, he has a grandkid. So yeah, you're right. I'm saying whoa, but it's not like.
Well,
whoa.
no, yeah, I know what you're saying. Like my grandparents, when I was born, they were 40. When I was born, and then going back, there's almost. You look at the statistics. It's a weird graph, but it's like almost until like the mid 90s. There's like 20 years between every generation, and then the gap starts
It
widening.
just
It's people are getting more educated.
Yeah.
More people are.
and they doing it the right way.
Is there a right way or wrong way?
I think the right way is
I don't know,
having
man.
is you're right, because you never know how life gonna turn out for you.
You never know.
Everybody got their own
What's
thing.
right for you might not be right for
Exactly.
me. What right,
But
I
at
don't
this, I think my kids, I don't think I want them to get married early. You know what I mean? I want them to gotta
Well,
go.
now as a parent, you don't want them to rush into anything.
Yeah, don't rush into anything. Enjoy
Yeah.
life. Enjoy your young life. Go out there and go see the world.
Yeah.
Go see, go travel places. And if you got a girlfriend, y'all gonna have to get married right away.
Sure.
Go enjoy some stuff as a couple. You know what I mean? And get y'all self together. Get y'all careers or whatever you guys want to do.
And a lot of times back in wartime, I mean, people would get married because, they didn't know if you were going to survive a war.
Yes.
You're getting drafted. People would get married before they got drafted, try and have kids. It was a different life.
Yes.
Like our generations have been living life on easy mode
Yeah.
compared to the way our grandparents lived.
Yes.
Even our parents were on easy
Yeah.
mode compared to. I mean, could you imagine getting drafted to fight in Vietnam
No.
or World War II or World War I and seeing those kinds of things?
I'm pretty sure this was bull crap. Did somebody say it was something like nowadays kids gonna have to start automatically signing up for the draft?
Well, you still got to sign up for selective service when
Select the
you're 18.
yeah, but
But I don't think they actually start.
yeah, okay,
instituting
that's always been in effect, that right?
Yeah,
Okay,
you still
yeah.
have to do that. But
Maybe I was there so long ago since I was 18.
the thing is though, with back in those days, it was a war of attrition.
Mm-hmm.
How many bodies can you take out? Nowadays, you can send a drone and be sitting on a couch in some military base. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you just don't need bodies anymore. We're doing it a lot smarter rather than just sending people out to die.
Okay.
Like that's how you had to do it at one point. But I don't see a draft just because
That's what I meant to say, the draft, yeah.
I don't see a need for it. You don't just need
You-
bodies to throw at it anymore. We've got such technology and AI.
Yeah.
Hell, you may not even need a person to control it. You might just have an AI program. Select your target, get
And
mission
that's
done.
where you want to go to. And then I think you still got a lot of people who want to go as well, too.
Well, yeah, you need it. But even in the Constitution, it mentions a volunteer army. I'm not sure the draft is 100% constitutional. I need to look into that. But you're right. You're always going to have volunteers. People who want to go fight for your country.
People who's going to fight for their country.
Yeah.
It's like, I have a lot of family that's in the military and things like
And
that.
I take my hat off. Thank you for all service members
Yes.
out there keeping us and our country safe. There's no greater sacrifice than the people who die in the name of their country, protecting us.
That's a fact.
I obviously did not serve.
Me either.
I was, I don't know if it was cowardice or what, but that wasn't a path I wanted to go down.
No, me either.
But to the people who do it, man, I got no greater respect.
Man, that's
Leaving your family and going overseas,
Mm-hmm.
that those guys and the guys I've talked to that have come back from being in wars,
Yeah.
they don't come back the same, man. You leave something over there. and you come back broken.
Yeah, it was a guy I worked at my previous job, and he was an older guy, and he was like, "Man, Justin, I still remember certain things." And old Joe, I can give you that name. It was Joe's older cat, man, and he was like, "Justin, I still remember and just wake up." And he's trained different.
Yes.
You know, he's trained different.
But these guys see limbs getting blown off. They see kids getting murdered. They see rapes and, I mean, atrocities
Yeah, it's crazy.
that we can't even, that make our problems look like bullshit, right? Seeing that day in and day out and not being able to interfere with some of the cultural things that happen.
And then coming back home and got to act like none of this stuff never happened.
And just integrate with real life.
In real life.
how-
Because nobody else want to hear your stories unless it's just your next.
You can't tell those stories
Yeah.
to regular people. It'll fuck them up.
Yep.
And then these guys got to go integrate with society.
Yeah.
And then the suicide rate of
Yeah.
veterans is through the roof.
It's through the roof, and then they don't get no help, right?
Uh,
They don't get any help,
It's a nasty.
you know.
Nah.
You know, yeah, we give you a VA loan, but we're not gonna give you the money for the down, whatever else you need, closing costs. Just say you don't need a down payment on. We're not gonna give you the closing costs. We're not gonna, if we see you on the street, we're not gonna bring you in and help you get readjusted back to society and things like that. It's like, man, what are we really doing for our veterans out here?
Yeah, I don't know. Again, that's me being in a bubble. Like, are these people out there on the street, have they made bad decisions? And that's what put them
Yeah.
there? Or did they not have the support? You know, because some people make bad decisions
Of course, yes.
and continue to spiral down. And, you know, that is what it is. There's consequences for those kinds of things. But there's some people who are in that same situation who did everything right and just one thing led to another. You know, I don't know. The world is going to be an evil place
Yeah.
in a lot of aspects, and it's going to be unfixable in a lot of areas, which is, you know, it's a hard thing to acknowledge. But like, how do you fix addiction,
Yes.
right? Mental health. Like once you know, I don't know how we got here. Like the mental health issue to me is one of the strongest ones because that's something that's plagued my family, and men to talk about their emotions growing up. And up here around, you know, this area, I don't know, probably pretty widespread across the country, but you know, it's always been, men don't talk
tough.
about their feelings.
you
You got to
tough.
be tough. You got to suck it up.
Yeah, don't cry. Don't show no emotion, so you just cry by yourself, right?
Sure.
So you might cry before, you might be going through something.
Or you cope.
Yeah, you cope.
Or
Whatever.
drink or whatever,
You
I
drink
mean.
or whatever. So you might, before you get out the car, you might just, you might be sitting right here in the driveway and crack a beer open before I got to go in here and put a mask on.
sure.
And act like everything
Yeah.
all right, because I can't just drown my family out with all this stuff. It's dad time when it's time to go in the house.
But see, and that's another thing
You know what I
that, but everybody's always talking about. We've been talking about, you know, the black experience, the female experience, the male experience exists too, because you're supposed to be.
That's something that has no color.
You're supposed to be. You're right.
That has no color unless you're just a guy who don't care, right?
A dad has no color. He is, but he's got to be the rock.
You got to be the rock, right?
You got to keep shit together. You got to keep your shit together. People are looking at you.
And that's what I meant earlier about leading, right?
Okay. I see where you're coming from.
That's what I meant about leading.
Not necessarily being the king of the house,
Not
but
being
just
the
being
king-
an example.
Be an example.
Yes.
Because a woman don't want to, if she's with a man, she don't want to make all the tough decisions, right? That's what a man's supposed to do, like the tough, really tough decisions, right? You know, if something was to say happen with your job or something, you happen to, God forbid, knock on wood, lose your job or something like that was to happen. And you don't want to go put that on your wife. You might come back home and be like, hey, I lost my job and things like that. But ultimately, you're not going to be like, hey, maybe my wife can hold it down for a few months. But you're not sitting there expecting your wife just to sit there and man, it's been a year. Right?
Yeah.
As a man,
Yeah.
you feel like,
Failure's not an option.
Failure's not. I have to take care of my family.
Yes.
I got kids.
It is ultimately yours. That's your only responsibility.
Yeah.
To take care of your family. Yeah.
It's to protect and provide.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You know,
100%.
and that's what I meant about.
Okay,
that.
yeah, for
that's
sure.
what I meant about the lead. You know, being a leader.
Okay, yeah.
in your
Then
home.
yes, I agree with that 100%.
You know what I mean?
But it also puts a lot of pressure on men.
yeah.
And men of the older generations did it by being tough.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they had hard lives. They were tough. Nothing affected them. You know, but now here we are, generations from having to be in a real war. I mean, you've had these proxy wars and these 20-year Afghan wars, but I'm talking like Vietnam, World War II, shit like that. Our generations have been pretty easy mode.
Yeah, it's been pretty
the way
easy.
I call it. And it's been easier for men to talk about their emotions. But you also see it almost, again, flip too much, where men are hyper focused on sensitivity and their emotions.
And then
we can't have that.
Yeah,
Somebody's got to be fucking.
Yeah, and then if you start, you know, you can, and that's what I was saying. I was about leading as well. Right? You can't act like a woman, right? You know what I mean? Being all that's, you know, they have the luxury to do that, right? To live in their femininity, you know, and you know, and just be a woman. And if she got a husband, hey, if I'm having a bad day, I can flip flop and maybe not feel. But as a man, you can't go to work. Hey, I'm a flip flop out here in this world. You know what I mean? You gotta stay on the straight and narrow at all times. You know what I mean?
But again, I mean, sometimes the woman's stronger than the man.
That's a fact.
That can be true too.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
My wife's stronger than me in a lot of ways.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Like, she can handle shit I can't.
Yes.
And vice versa. I can handle shit she can't.
Yeah.
And that's why I was saying earlier why I think it is so important to have that partnership, because there's, you know, domestic labor division, whatever it is. You know, I'm the crier in the family, dude. Emotional movies, dude, they fucking wreck me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the emotional one.
But you're a movie buff too at the same time.
Yeah, that's true. But like, sentimental shit hits me hard.
It hits you
Whereas
a little
my
bit hard.
wife, man, she's a fucking ice cold, man. She can watch that shit and just not even be phased. Like, she's a lot stronger than me in a lot of ways.
That's and you need that rock, because a lot of times
But that's why if you have a solid
union.
That's the word.
Yes.
A union. Yeah.
Because that's what
it
you
works.
need. Yeah, it works.
But I think men and women have different strengths, but not every man and woman has the same strengths. Right?
Yes.
So different marriages, if you can find somebody that can, if you guys can get to 10, you know, and you're bringing these categories and she's bringing these, and they're completely different, and you kind of got your lanes.
Yes.
Right? You know, like ours is pretty, like my wife does the laundry, you know, kind of stuff, but I do like all the outside stuff, you know, the mowing and the, you know, it's a pretty standard division of labor. But like my buddy Jason Green, like I think he does most of the cooking in his house, and I think he even does some laundry. Like, it's different divisions of labors, but as long as you're getting it done,
it's all that matters.
and you're rolling, and you're setting a good example for your kids, and here's how a household should run.
Yes.
But I don't know. I think kids are one of those things where, and we were talking about this a little earlier, as how a father is a leader and kids look up to him, and you don't realize that until you start seeing your behaviors reflected in your kids.
Whatever, because they look and they watch everything.
Yes.
You know, and that's what I meant.
Have
you know?
you seen some of that of your kids emulating maybe some bad behaviors of yours?
Yeah, you see things like that, you know, and you see them doing some good things, and then you just like, hey, where is you even getting this from? Because I'm not putting this in you and putting this in you.
Right.
And then I guess they kind of develop their own personality, so it's kind of it's different, right?
It is different, and of course, our oldest one didn't go to public school till 7th grade, and early on, and then when COVID, we started homeschooling, and so that was kind of a different thing for us. And when you homeschool, you're in control of who they're around, of what they're learning, of all those things, and as long as you keep them socialized and keep them,
that's the main thing.
That's the main thing. Keep them involved, keep them around other kids. That kind of negates some of that weirdness of homeschooling. Because when I grew up, the homeschool kids who, if they ever came to public school, were very sheltered.
Yeah, because
very
now
strange.
You're just like, man, because like I'm not used to being around all these people. You know,
but
what
our
I mean?
kids aren't overprotected. If anything, they're, you know, I'm pretty liberal when it comes to what they're exposed to. And so once they're 7th grade and they haven't been in this fucking zoo of people trying to manipulate you and push trends on you and make you do cool shit that might be bad for you, you know. You know how it was. You went to school. You're trying to be cool. You want to be popular, but you also want to have some integrity and
exactly.
You know, and I feel like kids are so pushed and pulled by all
Yeah.
these different things. And if you can just give them a little stability until they're old enough to handle that and say, hey, I'm cool with who I am right now, I think it can help mitigate some of those bad decisions
Exactly.
by establishing who they are. Now, I'm not saying it's perfect or it's, it might not even work out in my case. And that's another, I hate compliments on parenting. When everybody, oh, your son's such a good, so well-mannered or so polite. It's like, hey, he ain't done yet. Like,
Yeah, but let's keep going.
this could go south real fast.
Uh-huh.
Because, well, let me ask your opinion on this. So you got nurture and you got nature, right?
Yes.
What your genetics are, what your DNA is, what your wife and you brought to the table genetically versus the way you raised your kids, how you actually did it. What do you think is more important there?
You said the nurture.
Yeah, your DNA versus your actual parenting. Which one of those things is a more powerful influence
Man,
on?
I think the way the nurturing part, right? I that's what I think. What you actually instilling in them on an everyday basis. If you still have be a person of integrity, hey, if you cut, just even say simple, if you went back and said, hey, I want to cut this guy lawn across the street, and he's like, okay, yeah, come check it out, man, and see what you want to do. I mean, tell me how much you want to charge.
Mm-hmm.
You tell him, hey, I'm gonna charge you $40. You get back there, weed, eating, everything is $40. Now you're like, hey, man, I should have really actually charged the guy $80 because it's a lot of work. You can't just change the price on that. You got to stick to what you told this guy what you was going. It just being a man of integrity, being a person of your word.
Yeah.
Because that goes a long way
Yes.
in life. Even just something that simple.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Holding the door for somebody. Those things that you nurturing, you're showing somebody. You never know. You let the door slam on somebody while you're at work, or you're just being rude. Hey, you just walked in, or you can be at a store. Go to Dollar General.
Yeah.
You go walk in, you let the door slam on somebody. All right, 2 years later, you going up for an interview. That guy remember that you slammed that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
being a person
Yeah.
for some type of character.
Yeah.
That's what I believe. I hope I answered that right for you.
Well, I mean, you gave your opinion. That's all I
Yeah.
asked for. I mean, the older I get, the less I am confident.
Mm-hmm.
Like, at first, I was like, parenting is, that's how you shape them. But there's certain proclivities people have in their DNA toward, like, my younger one's an adrenaline junkie, right? Like, he likes to be off the air on vehicles. That's a DNA thing. Like,
Okay.
I've got to change my tactic to try and combat his DNA.
Yes.
And you see
I
that.
get what you're saying. He gets a thrill. That's what's thrilling him inside.
I didn't teach him that.
Yeah, that's
that's
just
something
his
that
own-
just is in
Yeah.
his blood, and it's
Yeah.
basically like if I was raising my dad as a child, right? So him and my dad are like peas in a pod.
Yeah.
They have that same kind of they're fixers, they're mechanics, they're adrenaline guys.
And that
I
could be a
wasn't that
great
guy.
thing too. As long as it's used in the right way. And
But
like you was-
parenting can help mitigate those
Yes,
things.
Yes.
But the DNA is still a powerful thing. I almost
Exactly.
feel like they're 50-50.
Exactly.
And you have to adapt as a parent to, like, every kid's different. And yours are a little bit far apart.
Yes.
But they're still very different, I'm sure.
Mhm.
You don't treat them exactly the same.
No. And I got a girl and a boy, so you can't treat
Exactly.
them exactly the same. You know what I mean?
You have to tailor your parenting style to each kid.
Yes. You got, you can't just, what I might say to JJ, hey, all right, son, hey, all right, now, straighten up,
Sure.
let's get
Yeah.
on over here. Because this, it's all, you got a boo-boo, cool. Daddy, make sure you're okay. All right, now get up. Let's keep it going.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the real world, as a man, you got to keep it going, right? You got to keep it going. Like we talking about family, the family depend on you and things like that, or
Right.
just in general. And with a girl, you still got to get the message across, but a little bit more softer way.
Sure.
Because, the emotions and feelings and things like that. So you got to be like, okay.
Well, see, I don't even know that it's a gender thing. I would have employees.
Maybe it's just me then.
Well, no. I'm
Okay.
just saying just for this example.
Okay.
When I was managing at the previous company I worked for, if you had to discipline or do a corrective action on sometimes you could just suggest that there was a mistake made and somebody be in tears.
Mm-hmm.
And with somebody else, you would have to cuss them out for it to even register. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like some people just, they want to please, right? And so if you give them any negative feedback, they just melt. Whereas some people don't give a fuck. And that's not a male or female thing.
Okay.
Like I had a female employee that you almost had to just ream out for them to get, okay, fine.
No, and I had one too like that.
Yeah.
I had that in my previous my previous company as well. You know,
But it wouldn't even phase them. Like
Yeah.
you get in their face and really go at them, and it's like, okay, fine, I get it. I need to change this.
Yeah.
But somebody else, man, just even the slightest criticism, or even in a positive way, and it's like, oh, I'm a failure, and they just lose their shit.
because they're so scared of.
Because people's personalities are different. I don't even think that's necessarily a gender thing.
That's a fact.
You know.
I get what you're saying.
But the point is, you have to tailor your parenting toward each one of your kids. You can't raise Jay the same way raising your daughter. Not going to work. So as a parent, you're constantly having to adapt, but you're adapting to their DNA structures in a lot of ways.
You are.
And I'm sure you've noticed, like, DNA mixtures of yourself versus your wife in your kids. Like, like my middle one is stuck. Like, if he's going to not budge on a thing, he ain't going to budge. Unless you get a fucking tow truck to get him out of there, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, my wife's like, he's so stubborn. I'm like, that's you.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you know, that's reflection. Or like my oldest one had a bad temper when he was young. And I was like, that's when I realized, like, man, he's observing me.
Yes.
And acting out. Like, if I get mad, I'd go punch something. You know, I wasn't punching holes in the wall, but like I'd go outside and punch a rock.
I gotta let some.
You know, and then I'd start noticing those behaviors in him, and that was when it made me realize, like, oh my god, like everything I do is being
It's getting
mimicked or learned,
you learn.
and then reflected back. And so it's like, man, you don't realize it when you're a young parent that these kids are looking up to you. So that's all they have,
Good and bad, whatever you do.
good and bad. And when you start seeing the bad repeated back at you that you're teaching them, boy, it makes you feel like shit.
Exactly.
It's like, man, they learned that from me,
Exactly.
and I got to course correct.
That's a fact. But the thing is, you got your eyes open enough to see when it's being mimicked.
Fair.
Because a lot of people just only want to hear about the good. Hey, yeah, my son, or this is going on, my child. But when you can take some of the bad and be like, hey, I need to work on this myself. That's always a person of great character and be able to, and see things like that and be able to correct that, course correct. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it made me a better person because I realized, hey, there are negative things that I'm exhibiting in front of my kids that they're now emulating, and that's not a good thing. And I didn't even realize I was doing it. Right? Like just the way I would behave or handle certain things.
Or certain things come back down from your parents or something like that. It could be a weekend. See, Dad, hey, get up in the morning, it's the weekend. Hey, man, I'm going ahead and get me something to drink and start fixing up something around the house. Right? And then you just like, you realize, then you get older, hey, it's Saturday morning, I'm going to fix me something to drink and start doing something around the house.
Yeah.
And you be like, man, it's pretty, but this is what you kind of learn, right?
Right.
Like, hey, as long as I took care of all my business, took
Right.
care of everything, he like, man, you don't realize it so early. You know what I mean? It was like, hey, you know what I mean?
No, I know exactly what you mean.
Everybody
Everybody
and
learns.
know
yeah.
exactly where you got it from. I'm like, got this from my old man right here.
Yep.
I got this, subconsciously.
Yes.
You know what I
and
mean?
while you're around your parents enough, you know
Yep.
them inside and out, and you know what traits you get from which
Yep.
side. Your parents still alive, both of them?
Yes.
They
yes.
married?
No.
Okay.
No. My dad is in Memphis. My stepmom in Memphis as well.
Okay.
And my mom is in Chicago.
Okay. I knew Dad was in Memphis. I didn't know much
And
about
she
your mom.
moved back to she moved back to Chicago
Okay.
after
When did they divorce?
98, 99. Long time.
So when you were like 10?
Yeah.
How was that? Was that tough? How many brothers and sisters do you have?
Biologically, I have 5. But, stepwise, I have 2 stepbrothers, one sister. But
Yeah.
I don't even really call it like in a stepwise. 'Cause we so, you know, we're so close.
It's the real deal.
Yeah, it's the real
Yeah,
deal.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
just brother. So I feel even
Blood
weird.
don't mean shit,
Yeah, I
man.
feel weird just even saying
Yeah.
step, right?
Yeah,
'Cause
no,
we
I
don't,
get
we
it.
don't really say that.
Dude,
in
there's
our family.
people I'm related to I can't fucking stand.
Yeah.
And there's people have no relation to that I love more than anything. I mean, I think I've always thought the blood thing was,
Yeah, you know what I
you
mean.
know.
You can't
Even Jesus, there's a scene in the Bible where he's with his people and his mom comes and she's like, "Hey, I need to see Jesus," and he's like, "Hey, I'm with my mother and my brothers right here. You know, I'm with my people." You know, I've always thought that was a funny
Yeah, you
thing.
just-
Is like, you know, just because you're my mom, you think you can come in? Now, I mean, I would probably let my mom, you know, come in, but it's just interesting that like even the Christian philosophy says that, you know, your mother and your brothers are the people of like mind.
Yes.
The people who you can be yourself around, because
Exactly.
a lot of people get born into shitty families, dude.
They
Terrible
do.
families.
They do.
I know
And-
really great people
yeah.
who have been born into shitty families.
Yep, and their friends are more family to them than anything,
Yeah.
right? You get
100%.
around, you feel so much comfortable
Yeah.
around your friend. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Because they was actually there for you. Some, you know, certain family members that don't have that closeness to them, or the parents
Yeah.
didn't. And to me, I kind of blame that a little bit on the parenting in the household,
Okay.
because
Yeah, let me hear your thought on this.
man, we grew up, and I got this from my dad's side of the family, because my mom's side of the family, she'll tell you that they're not close at all. You know, they're cool,
Right.
but they're not close at all.
Right.
I got some.
Hmm?
No, I thought I had something on my.
Oh no, I was just my mustache was getting in my mouth.
Okay. Yeah,
clear
and my mom's side of the family, they're not close at all. But my dad's side of the family is really close, and they
Okay.
grew up poor, you
Right.
know, in Barton, Arkansas, and things like that. And
And where?
Barton,
Barton?
You ever heard of Barton?
Yeah,
Barton, Arkansas.
that's where your dad was born.
Yes.
Okay.
You got any family down there?
No, I ain't got any family south of here, but well, I got family in Dallas, but no, all my family's up here in Northwest Arkansas.
And they always say, "Hey, we might not have it all, you know, but together I mean, it was something like we might not have it all together, but together we have it all." It was, and that's a slogan that
I like that.
Yeah, we might not have it all, but together we have. I mean, it was something that I think I said it right. The
I
first
think you
time.
got it right in there once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we live by. Like, hey, man, we're gonna look out for one another, man. We're gonna be strong. We're gonna be rich in spirit. We might
Yeah.
not be rich in wealth and money like that, but let's be rich in with always in our spirit, and being around for each other, and being able to stay close knit and things like that.
That's one thing I've liked about you from day one, man. You've got a positive attitude.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Like you're very, I don't know. You're always thinking. You're trying to better yourself, trying to be a better dad, be
Yes.
better. You know,
Yes,
like
sir.
you got a lot of, I don't know. I really relate to that. You're trying to better yourself constantly, and that's awesome. That's just a good human characteristic.
Appreciate it, man.
Because we're all flawed.
We all flawed.
I mean,
We all flawed.
probably more than anybody. And if I can just be 1% better today than I was yesterday,
That's the main thing.
that's a win, right?
That's the win.
But I know a lot of people who are not even interested in acknowledging their flaws. And so there's no progress can be made.
There's never no progress.
And I've had to let those things go. It's like, if this person's important to me,
Mm-hmm.
but they won't acknowledge or change, you know, you can either cut them out of your life, or you can acknowledge that that's how they're going to be, and you have to interact with
And
that.
you can't feel guilty. You know what I mean? You can't feel guilty for cutting those people out of it, you know, or
No, you can't.
or bagging back. And some people might be like, "Oh man, this person is doing great, doing good in life." And you be like, "Man, if you just did a little bit more, you can be doing okay too."
Yeah.
You know, and some people just get so stagnant with things that how it goes.
That's a good
on.
word for it, yeah.
You know what I mean? And then everything is it's everybody else's fault, right?
Yeah.
Because they don't want to try to better themselves. You
Yeah.
know, don't want to take that time to do it.
And I don't know. A lot of it for me is guilt. Like, if I don't, you know, if I got my kids that, "Hey Dad, can we do this tonight? Can we do this tonight?" "Yeah, son, I got to get this done, and then we'll do that." You know, and then time gets away from me. It's like, "Hey, we didn't get to do this," and I feel guilty.
Yes.
You know, and so then the next day I want to make it up to them. You know,
Exactly.
And some parents just don't have that.
No.
It's just like they just don't have it.
No.
I had so I told you about the pod I did last week. So I had my dad and I had his two buddies on from elementary school, right? They've been friends
Yes,
for
that's
almost
cool.
60 years. And one of the guys was telling a story. Mark was telling a story about how he got home one time. I think he'd been traveling. He got home. He got in, sat down in front of the TV, and his son was like, "Hey, Dad, let's go play basketball."
He's tired.
You
man.
know, and he's like, "Son, I just don't want to do it. I just don't want to do it. I just want to sit here and chill." And so he woke up the next morning. He's like, "Man, I just wasted an evening and didn't spend any time with my son. It was a school day. He went and told his son, 'You're not going to school today. We're spending the day together.'" And
that meant everything to him.
and that story to me was my takeaway from the whole podcast.
Mhm.
I was like, "Man, that's powerful, man. That's a good dad." And like
Because
in the moment,
Mhm.
you didn't do what you probably should have done and got and played with him, but you made it up to him.
You made
You're
it
like,
up to
"Man,
him.
I was lazy. I wasn't being a dad,"
Mhm.
which is more important than your real job,
Exactly.
in my opinion.
Yeah, because the time you instill in your kids.
And I feel like you think that too.
Exactly.
Being a dad's your number one job.
It's the number one job.
It ain't
at
being,
all times.
It ain't being an employee. It ain't being a husband.
No.
It ain't being, well, the husband's part of it because you're
Yes.
trying to raise those kids. But being a dad, when you are a dad and those kids are in your household, that's your number one.
That's your number one. You got to go out there and play with them when you're tired.
Yeah.
You know, like I was out there fixing the shed, right? Early all day today, going out, moving around. Got back in the house, played with JJ for a quick second. I came back out. Promise you I'll make sure I can make it over here. When I leave out of here, I got to play with my son, make sure I spend that time with him. Because you got to make sure that time is going to distribute evenly, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Especially within that house.
I was hoping he was feeling better so he'd come out.
Oh, Jay Jizzle. Yeah,
Yeah, I
man.
had my boys show him around.
Man, that'd have been awesome.
We'll have him out another time.
Yes,
but yeah,
yes.
I'd love to have him out.
Yeah,
Let my
he'll
boys
love that.
show him around out here.
He'll be moving around. He loves his little Nerf gun balls and
Oh, yeah. We
He's-
can get
he's
some
big
Nerf
into that.
Wars going, dude.
yeah, he's big into that.
So you got a lot of friends?
JJ, he got friends at school.
What grade's he in?
JJ's in first grade.
First, okay.
He has friends at school. My friend Jonathan, actually, he's gonna be here, come by tomorrow and helping me build my shed up and things like that. Help finishing up on it. He has a couple little boys, Joseph and Lincoln. So that he
About his age?
about around his
Right
age and
on.
things like that. But JJ, he's kind of like an introvert, and that come from the COVID area.
Yeah, we
I meant to
talked
say.
about a little bit of this at work about
Yeah.
how when COVID hit. Yeah,
When
go
COVID
ahead and
hit-
talk about it. Yeah, for people who hadn't heard. Yeah,
He was a baby. So JJ was born 2018 June. So by 2019, I think he was maybe 2, not even 2 when 2020
shut
hit.
everything down.
When everything shut down, right? So just say for the first 4 or 5 months of his life, my wife was at home with him, and
Right.
she went to work, and then he maybe went to school not went to school, but
Like pre-K daycare.
daycare
Yeah.
for maybe about a year, maybe. He's so young, he don't remember that. He don't remember that time.
Yeah.
What he do remember is when COVID came, he just being at home not by
Yeah.
himself, but just us and
Yeah.
family, cousins, just family members and whoever ever came around. So when he get pushed out into the real world 2.5, 3 years later, like who's all these people? So now he kind of gets
The timing was awful for him.
Yes. Maybe if he went to school first and it was a little bit older and things like that, and then maybe it'd been a little bit better. But I done talked to so many.
Well, are either you or your wife introverts? You don't seem to be one.
no,
Is
my
she-
wife is kind of introverted. At some point,
Because I do believe introversion is a genetic thing, but I also see your situation where that's very definitely a situational, could be a situational
Yes.
thing, where he's just not doing what he would have been doing normally if that
Exactly.
situation wasn't present,
Exactly.
which would have acclimated him to being around. So at a very critical time in his life, when you're supposed to be
moving
socializing,
around,
with people of your own age group and
with your own-
peers,
you can't.
he was robbed of that.
He was robbed of that because you don't lockdown, you don't shut
Right.
down. So now when you get to talking good and
Yeah.
moving around good and walking, and all you see is just family members, right? Family members, or you got kids and his cousins, or you got some friends, and they're just close friends, and there's just a few people that's coming around and things like that. Now you take them into school with hundreds of kids. You get there like, hey.
But how many other JJs out there do you think are like that?
It's a lot, because when I go into school and teachers tell me like, hey, my son or my daughter, this COVID has really messed them up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? From being at home from all that time and things like that, and then try to, integrate back into society.
Sure.
And things of that nature.
I bet the kids in his class were probably fucked the most by all that.
Yeah.
And hindsight's 2020. I think we did everything wrong during COVID, personally.
Okay. What you mean about that? What's your thought?
Well, when the mortality rate is less than 1%, which it was, it's a cold. Mm-hmm. We treated a common cold like the Black Plague.
Oh, yeah.
There were people who could not see their loved ones, their parents or their grandparents, dying in the hospital
for years.
Because of the distancing rules. Mm-hmm. They've admitted the 6-foot distancing was made up. It was no science basis on that. The vaccine was a lie. It was not effective in that it would prevent transmission.
I'm hearing some stuff that made that.
Yeah, it never prevented transmission. Yeah. Not from day one. They never even tried to make it. All it did was lessen the symptoms of a cold, and we robbed kids all across the country of 2 years of normalization. The things we did over... Now, if this was a 50% kill rate, if this was a Black Plague, sure, you do everything you can.
Yes.
But we knew, even from early on, that this wasn't... Did people die from it? Absolutely.
Yes.
But those people generally had what they call comorbidities. Things that would... Like pneumonia would have killed them. They were elderly, generally, or obese, or some... They had...
Yes, and that was the thing, like the high-risk people. I think that's what it was, like the high...
And those people, vaccines would have benefited, because it would have lessened the symptoms, might not have died from it. But after, and the truth was out there during COVID. It was getting censored. It was getting, and that's one of my big things with the censorship of free speech. Like during COVID, it was monstrous. Like anytime somebody came out and gave any information that went against the narrative, they were shut down, locked down, kicked off social media. The guy that invented the mRNA vaccine, Dr. Robert Malone, he got kicked out of social media, and he's the one who invented the fucking thing. It's just, and I don't think we're going to realize the consequences of this until years later.
Yeah, maybe 15, 20 years down the line. Yep. I'm glad. I think Aaliyah may have got hers. My daughter may have got a vaccination. I know for sure. We give JJ, because they wouldn't let him go back into school without it, right? And things like that.
Yep.
Hell, I couldn't even work.
Yeah.
If I didn't get mine, I was gonna be without a job.
Well, I had no problem with anybody getting the vaccine. What I had a problem with was people telling me if I didn't get it that I was a murderer.
Oh,
and I had that told to me many times. And
it was not necessarily that I wanted to get it. I never wanted to get the vaccine.
Sure.
But it's like, it was almost like forced upon you. Like, hey, man, you still got to
No, it literally was forced upon you.
It was forced upon you.
It was forced upon you and Stephen Lord at the same place. And we won't mention it, but thankfully, the company I was at the time, which is where you're at now, did not force us to do that. And I was very appreciative. They left it up to
That's great.
the courts, and I still wasn't happy with the court's decision. Everybody celebrated it. Oh, the courts aren't going to make us vaccinate, but they did force medical employees to vaccinate, which made no sense. There shouldn't have been anybody forced to take a medication. A lot of people lost their jobs over not getting that jab, and
I would have been one. And if now,
when you got to make that decision, do I support? And it goes back to you saying my number one job is being a dad, to support, protect my family. You got presented with a shitty option.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, it's like...
Do you stand up and say, I'm going to stand up against a man and then not have an income?
No, you can't. You got to be like, hey, I got to take care of my family. And then,
But then,
you might be like, down the line.
But what if your kids are older and they're like, man, you did this thing knowing it was wrong,
Yes.
and now I lost respect for you.
Yeah.
You know, you're working for this corporation that forced you to do a thing you didn't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I could see that too. It's like setting an example, saying, "Son, I'm not going to let this
Then
corporation
you end
tell
up
me."
not being over there anyway.
I'm saying right and wrong is
the-
hard.
Yeah, that's the crazy point. You
That's-
know, down the line, you end up not even being over.
Thankfully, I wasn't put in that corner.
Mm-hmm.
And had I been, I probably would have made the same decision you
Mhm.
did.
Mhm.
You know, because you got to provide for your family.
You got to provide for your family.
But then again, you know, like my wife, she lost one of her jobs. She's a contractor. She works for different companies, but she lost one of her jobs. They wouldn't let her work there, but she was able to get religious exemptions.
Mm.
And a lot of people didn't explore that, but because they use like, what are the cells in fetuses? What do they call those? Like the stem cells.
Stem cells, yeah.
Like I think they use some of those in the vaccine, and like
crazy.
Catholics and stuff don't believe it. So you could get religious exemptions from it.
And some people wasn't even getting. Some people at the old place wasn't even getting that approved, right?
Some weren't apparently. Well, the one she got fired from obviously wasn't accepting them, but the other two were. But I remember we went out to protest. It was the first time I'd ever been involved in a protest. It was at the hospitals, Washington Regional, protesting the vaccine mandates. Thanks up, they see that pink sign
Right
up in
up
the top
there.
corner. Yeah. But we had people pulling around the circle, calling us murderers. You're all murderers out here. If you don't get the vaccine,
Oh,
you're
wow.
killing people.
So that was really.
Oh yeah, it was like a double-sided. Like there were the people protesting the vaccine, and then there were the people who were just constantly cruising around calling all of us murderers. It was a weird deal.
Man, did
Yeah.
a lot of people get out there with you guys, and then
Oh yeah, it was a lot of employees were out there and their spouses and families and just protesting. But it was just weird to
that
have
was
people.
2020 or 21.
Let's see. It would have been probably 2020. When did the vaccines roll out? Wasn't it late 2020?
Was it? Because I think they put it out less than a year.
Trump left office in 2020, right?
January of 20.
See, it would probably been 2020.
Man,
Yeah, but it was wild. Yeah, I had a lot of people, and I was confident in what I was reading and listening to at the time, and should elderly people have been taken care of, sick people? Yes, but we treated everybody, again, you can't treat every kid the same. We treated everybody the same. And then when stuff like ivermectin started coming out as being effective against it, they demonized it. Because so the COVID vaccine was an emergency authorization, which meant you couldn't sue them if you got fucked up. They were protected from that. So anybody dies from that vaccine under emergency authorization, you're on your own. The company who makes it is not responsible. And you also can't have any alternative that works. So in order to get that passed as an emergency authorization, they had to say nothing else out there works for this. Right. So when Joe Rogan came on and said, I took ivermectin and I was fine in 2 days, they started calling it horse dewormer. Veterinary medicine.
Yeah, the horse. Yeah, it was
but
like
it actually won a Nobel Prize for efficacy in humans.
I did hear about the little whatever horse thing it was. Yeah.
Well, most of the medicines that animals take are the same things humans take at a lower dose.
because they put it in them first.
I mean, come on.
The mouse took this, or the rat we
they
tried.
test this stuff on animals before they test it on us. I mean, you look at pain medication like Tramadol. That's what they prescribe a dog for pain. That's what they prescribe a human. There's not like special animal medicines. We're all biological creatures, but
they know how to shame you out of it.
Yeah, and I think that's what changed the inflection point of this whole trajectory was nobody cares about a thing until it happens to them.
That's a fact.
In general.
That's with anything.
Right? You don't care, and then until it happens to you, and you're like, holy shit, this is real.
This is really real.
Right? Like, you just don't think about it. And I even say, like, racism in Northwest Arkansas. I was like, it's not real because it's never happened to me,
Mhm.
right? But you tell me stories, and it's like,
Yeah.
holy shit.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
I didn't, but I'm not black, so I don't. I don't have the same experience you have, right? Well, you got a guy like Joe Rogan, #1 podcaster in the world. He's saying I didn't want to get the vaccine, but I got ivermectin and I was good. And then CNN paints his skin green and says he's taking horse dewormer. And then all of a sudden Joe Rogan goes, "Hey, they lied about me."
Yeah.
Well, they've been lying about everybody else for a long time, Joe, and you didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
But now they lied about you, and then he got pissed off because it happened to him.
It was horse dewormer they tried to say he was taking?
Yeah, that's what they called it.
They knew what to do, didn't they?
Oh, they knew exactly what to do, and they did it well. They demonized
did.
ivermectin. They, doctors all over the country had to either get along with the narrative, or the state was suing them for Dr. Karras in Northwest Arkansas. The state tried to sue him for prescribing ivermectin to inmates because he was the prison doctor.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it was a big deal. The state tried to censor anybody because it went against the narrative.
Anything they went against the grain, they would have sued you for, the things like that.
Yeah, because an emergency authorization vaccine can't have any alternatives for it. And ivermectin worked, hydroxychloroquine worked, but hydroxychloroquine is used in like fish tank cleaner. But it's also a medicine. So everybody was saying when Trump suggested there's possibilities with hydroxychloroquine, everybody's like, Trump's telling people to drink fish cleaner. And somebody did, and somebody died from it.
Oh, didn't he say something about squirt some bleach in you or something like that?
I know what you're talking about. I don't know what he actually said.
Yeah, it was something. I don't know.
He says a lot of crazy
yeah,
shit. It's hard to keep up with all of it.
Yeah, I do remember that. That was one of the funniest things.
I just, that whole COVID thing, to me, is something we need to not just let go of. And I feel like everybody's already moved on. It's like, we're going down the road. It's like, man,
it's
guys,
a lot of effects of it. Right?
You fucked kids over in schools.
That's a lot of effects.
You damaged them. Mental health.
Mental health.
The suicide rate. Locking people in their homes for 2 years. And they couldn't get out.
Couldn't get out.
To me, it was the best time of my life.
Me
'cause
too.
I'm an introvert. I was like...
See, I'm not actually interested, but it was the best. I'm like, man, I'm saving.
But you're a family man.
I'm a family man. I'm like, I'm saving money.
You're home with your
I'm home.
family.
Yeah.
You're protected. If something goes wrong, I'm here. Daddy's home.
I'm here. I'm like, man, I'm getting my work done early from work. I'm like, man.
Saving money driving.
Saving money driving. I'm getting the barbecue grill going.
Hell yeah.
Cutting my grass on my lunch break. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Things
Yeah,
like that.
it was awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome,
It was
man.
awesome.
In that time, and it was like, man, we can't go nowhere and eat, but you know what? We can save a whole lot of money. We just go to the store and get whatever that we want, and we can just hook up the most extravagant
Yes.
stuff around here if we want to eat
Yeah.
steaks every day. Hey, we're gonna hook that up and
Yeah.
things like that. And I enjoyed it because you just had your select few of family
Sure.
members that you wanted to go across, but. Within those couple of years, I remember we like to go on vacations every year, and I remember not going on that. But
Yeah.
other than that, man, I was cool with it. But then again, on the sacrifice of it, now my son has a, you know what I mean?
Yes.
You
and
got
that's
to
a
get
direct link
Yes.
to what happened
Yes.
there. And that's going to be a long, hard road to get out of,
Yes.
probably.
Yes.
Because he was at such a primary developmental stage
Yes.
when it happened. Now it's like you have to undo.
Yeah, you got to undo it, and he's doing better at it. He's doing
Is
really
he?
great. Yes, he got therapy for it and everything.
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
So,
good.
So he's working his way up out of that, and he's doing better. But it was great for me, but it wasn't
Yeah.
great for them.
No, you're right. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was terrible for kids, and not to mention teachers.
Yeah, teachers.
Like you gotta enforce masks all day.
Yeah, you got.
That's not your job.
No, you gotta force a mask. Put your mask on. People can barely breathe. You wear glasses. Your glasses fogged up. You know what I mean? So you're uncomfortable when you're going somewhere.
Here's why I didn't believe that shit from day one. You got to wear a mask in a school, right? But you're still pushing the same fucking keypads you're putting your credit card in.
Yep.
They didn't take the credit card machines out,
They didn't take
and
that.
you're touching the same hands
Yeah.
as everyone else. So
And now everybody's so clean. You should have been that clean beforehand, right? You should.
None of it
Oh
made
man,
sense,
I'm
dude.
squeezing the pure.
right,
You're like, man, it's just.
I get it. The government's trying to calm everybody down. Here, we got a plan. We got all this stuff. And it's like, hey, this ain't that dangerous to begin with. Just leave everything open. And then give people the freedom. If you're afraid, stay in.
Yes.
If people want to go out, like there were people who owned like gyms and restaurants who would open their doors during lockdown that got arrested.
Whoa.
It's like, okay, even if it was a bad pandemic, let's say it killed 10% of the people that caught it, don't you have a right as a store owner to open your doors and let people who want to come in come in?
A lot of people lost their business.
It should be up to the individual.
Yep.
You shouldn't take that freedom away from the business owner and the client. And how, what makes me the sickest of all is how many small businesses are gone forever.
Yes.
Because a Walmart and a Tyson can weather that.
Yes.
They're going to be fine.
They're gonna work
but a
through that
mom and
anyway.
pop who's got 2 employees, they can't sustain that.
They
can't buy all the stuff you got to put up, the plexiglass and all this shit. And so we lost hundreds of thousands of small businesses, man. And where does the money go that would have gone to them? It goes up.
Yeah, it goes up.
You're not going to that mom and pop
Well, the
because
scammers got the PPP loans that should have went to, small businesses and things like that.
Yep. The Amazons of the world leveled up.
Yeah, because all they
Because
got to
of
do
all
is
of
just
it.
drop that off at somebody's doorstep and keep it moving.
Seems a little convenient.
You know
I mean, I know it seems conspiracy, but there were a lot of benefits to the elite
Yes.
over what happened with COVID.
Yes.
I don't know, man.
And the middle class and lower class people got screwed.
The middle class is like the asshole of America.
Yeah.
It just constantly gets fucked.
Yeah.
And
that was the thing to be. You grow up, you like, man, if I can't be rich, at least want to be the middle class.
Mhm.
And then when you get there, you're like, man, now everything is going up. The interest rates are so high.
Yep.
Every time you move up, it's a the goalpost is getting moved farther.
It's the
and
people who
farther,
know
farther.
how much their check is that get screwed. People who make so much money, they don't even look at the amount.
Nah.
It just gets deposited. I know people like that.
Get deposited, and then,
Yeah.
they just go throughout their life.
Yeah, they don't even worry about it. They got so much money in the bank, or they got so much money they can invest it to where their money's making money for them,
Yes.
right? But with people who are living paycheck to paycheck, man, it's exactly how much coming in. You got a budget for everything.
You got a budget for it, and those people, in the COVID and the pandemic, I remember just going to the store every week and telling my wife, look, remember that macaroni we got for the kids? Well, it was a 25 cent. Next week we go back in, up another 25 cent. Next week we go in 75 cents. And I would just look at it and just watch it go up, up, and up and up. Grocery bill going up. So now you taking all this money that you could have been doing this with and doing that with, and you realize, I'm like, hey man, we used to go out and eat 2 or 3 times a week and it'd be easy.
We should be able to have fun.
Yeah.
Do fun things. We
do
used
fun.
to go to the trampoline park and do those kinds of things on the weekends.
Yeah.
And then it was like, shit, we're just affording the basics.
You're affording the basics, and now you're like, man, if you gonna do all, you gonna go eat out and then still be able, it's almost like a luxury now.
It is.
Almost like a luxury now to go out and do that because you gotta keep an eye on what's going out. Back then you didn't have to, right? Before this pandemic and stuff like that, like, hey, I can do, move around, do whatever I want to do. Things are so high.
Yeah.
You're like, man, let me keep an eye on what's every dollar that's
But I
going
also
up.
think, in a way, that was kind of good because it got people to spend more time as family. I know
Yes.
with us, we really started coming up with a lot of ways to spend time. We started playing poker. That was fun. Just doing things together was cool. And during COVID, my kids, all 3 of them were homeschooled.
Yes.
So everyone was home. And so during lunch, I would do like lesson plans,
Okay.
right? Like, but it wasn't like school lesson plans. It'd be like music appreciation or something, right? Like, we're going to listen to this album or check out these riffs, or we're going to watch, it would just be something outside the box, just something kind of fun that we could do together, that I could do at lunch while I'm home, because Mama's teaching the homeschool. She's doing the social studies and all that stuff and the math. So let's learn something just a little wild or something little, and that was just something you got into for a couple of years. And then they bring everybody back in the office, and it was hybrid. That was
Yes.
cool. That was nice, you know. But then, you know, money talks. You got to get greedy. You got to have everybody in there. You
Yes.
got to observe them. You got to have eyes on them.
And that takes away from the. Now you get people used to that, right? Now you get people used to being at home, working
Yes.
from home, and now they're saving money. Now, okay, everything else may be high, but now at least I can save money on child care and things like
Right.
that, and being able to be, be
Yeah. I
Need-
feel like it was a benefit of COVID. Like we progressed
Yes.
in the ways that families
yes,
could maximize their time together.
maximize their time together.
Yeah.
Okay, well, hey, if we back in the office, it's 2 days out the week or whatever like that. Okay, cool. Now I can actually pick my child up from school.
Boom.
Have
Yeah.
that exactly. Soon as you get out of there, how was your day going? When they just coming out of that, or you
And
give
there
them
ain't
that,
nothing more important than that.
Yes, and you giving them that pep talk right before
Or you're
the-
dropping them off.
dropping them off. Hey, love you, man. Have a good day at school.
Those
hey,
3 words. I
yeah,
love you, son.
Yeah, love you,
I love
son.
you, daughter, whatever. Yeah.
Have a good day at school. You know,
Yeah.
you going to kill it or whatnot.
Yeah.
Hey, all right, well, forget it, man. We're going to get some donuts early in the morning. Because I'm working from home now, so I can go grab some donuts in the
Exactly.
morning.
Yeah, we
Hey,
used to do stuff like
yep.
that. Yeah.
Fix your breakfast in the morning. Now you eating the homemade breakfast because we got the time to do it.
Yes.
Boom, by the time I drop you off, I can come back home, pop up that computer, and now I'm getting back to going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes. I know exactly what you're
You
talking
know,
about.
and now you're saving time because, hey, I could put this little load of I can help my wife out by putting this load of laundry in here real quick.
Yes.
You know, the little
Hey,
fit-
I'm going to go wash these dishes real quick.
I'm gonna wash the dishes real quick. It's my 20-minute break. I usually take 20 minutes at work anyway. I'm gonna go ahead.
You're getting shit done.
I'm getting shit done
because you're home.
and getting shit done, and I'm probably working a lot more because now,
You were.
you know what I mean. Instead of taking a lunch, okay, I cut my grass yesterday. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna work through my lunch today. I just grab my sandwich, bring it back to my desk, knock stuff on out,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
now I can get everything caught up.
I actually did put in more work hours while working from
Yep.
home, and I was more willing to check it later in
Yes.
the afternoon too, and be constantly
Because
plugged
you in
into
one
it.
spot.
Because I'm already in one spot.
Yeah.
It's both. I think we really evolved somewhere
Mm-hmm.
there, and now it's like everybody's like just yank it back.
Yeah, when you
I feel like you're more productive
at home. That's a fact.
Now,
Because I might get on early. What if it's the summertime, right? What if it's the summertime and my kids don't have to go anywhere, right? They already at home. They laying back, they chilling. So the time I would usually go drop them off, I go work out early in the morning. I might get on an hour early
Yeah.
and be like, hey, I'm
Knock
going
some
to catch
shit out.
before the emails start rolling in.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So,
I know exactly what you mean. It was honestly like the best years of my life because I was home with my kids.
Mm-hmm.
I was working because they were doing school. It wasn't like we were just fucking playing all
Yes,
day. Like
exactly.
they had school to do, but I was here,
Mhm.
you know, and then at
Accessible.
lunch I could do my chores and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so then, because normally you're working 5 days a week, right? You get home from work, you got chores to do.
yes.
Man, I got to get this done. I got to get this done,
Yeah.
this done. Well, now I got 20 minutes to play with the kids
Yeah.
before dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, during COVID, all that shit's done. So when you
It's-
get off work, you don't have a drive home.
Nope. The
It's-
food is already done because you already put that on the stove, got things going, you going back to work. Okay, let me check on it, get that back off.
Exactly. So you're
When-
saving 2 hours a day.
Yeah, when you off, you're
You're
off.
off. There ain't no drive. You're
Yeah.
already right here. It's like, hey kids, I'm done. Let's do something.
Exactly.
Let's go throw the football. Let's go
Exactly.
do this.
Now I got all the energy in the world. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I got all the energy in the world because I didn't spend that time over somewhere,
Getting mad in traffic, driving
Yeah.
home, spending all this money on gas.
And spending
The
all this
money
mo-
we saved on gasoline.
Yeah, you fill up your car, it's in there for 2 or 3 weeks because you're not going anywhere.
Exactly.
Nothing but the grocery store.
Right. And so even though inflation was going up, we didn't feel as much because we're saving
Exactly.
so much money on gas.
Exactly.
So now when you start making people going back, you're actually taking money out of their salaries.
Yep.
Because you're saying, we're going to add this much gas back to
Yes,
what
sir.
you were doing.
Yes, sir.
We're going to lower your morale.
Mm-hmm.
But when you start looking at it, and Fox Business did an article about this.
Like I'm getting screwed.
Right before our company announced bringing everybody back. And again, we're not going to use any names here, but the idea in a lot of bringing people back to work was to increase turnover. It was a strategic thing because inflation is so high, so the company's costs go up, and so you need to lose weight, so you got to lay off employees. Well, layoffs don't look good, right? So you do something to trigger people to quit voluntarily, and then you say, well, all these people quit, but we just asked them to do, what we asked them to do when they were hired is come to work every day. Well, now you don't have to lay off anybody.
But some of these people you
hired.
hired them on the false pretenses of saying flexible work days these days, and
Right, I get that, but a company can do whatever the fuck it wants.
They can do what they want to do.
They do whatever they want to do. It's an at-will state.
It
they can do whatever they want to do. So, yeah, I get it. We had a coworker who was my partner there, that was his main argument. Like, I got hired into this. It's like, that's still not an argument, bro. It's a company. They can do whatever they want. I didn't get hired at that, but they changed it to that and made me sign a deal that agreed to it. So they changed my job to it. I don't know how that's any different than you getting hired that way, right? The company does what the company's going to do.
Yes.
But I think strategically and long term, and I believe this when I was a manager, if your employees are happy, they're more productive.
That's a fact.
If your employees are distressed and their morale is low, they're going to do the bare minimum when they're there.
The bare minimum. Yep.
And they want to get the fuck out as soon as they can.
Yeah, nobody's doing nothing extra. Nobody's, feeling no incentive to do anything.
And why would you want to?
No.
If your company's fucking you, why would you want to put forth the extra effort?
You don't want to.
People
was putting more in when I was at home. Like, hey, man, I'm knocking this out.
And when you give something to somebody and then you take it away, it kind of feels like you're getting fucked over.
Yeah.
It kind of felt like the world progressed a little bit. Everybody's
then
getting on
went back.
Zoom. Everybody's doing remote meetings. Like, now, is there a benefit to being in the same room? I like the hybrid because you are around people a few days a week, especially when you're the new guy. And you know about this.
Yes.
I know about this. When you're the new guy, you want to be there.
You want to
be able to get trained up, and but in that environment where nobody wants to come in, it's like you're almost wasting 2 days a week. So nobody will train me in these days.
Because nobody really trying to train you on those days.
But that's when a manager needs to step up and say, hey, you're going to come in this day. You're going to come in this day to train this guy, get people in the office, right? Like there needs to be some setup. So that's, to me, the only downside is coming on new during that environment. Like, how do you get trained? But if you know what you're doing and you can meld that in with your family schedule, man, it really was. And I'm grateful that I was able to have it.
Yeah, I'm definitely grateful for the times. Do I wish it was still? Of course, because I still like being out. I still like having that routine of doing something, but man, having a few days at home also.
Yeah, it's
and being able to just be like, I could take my kid to school.
Yeah.
That's everything.
Well, there's just something. Yeah, you hate to just throw your kid on a bus.
Yes.
It's just so impersonal, and to be able to say I love you is the last thing they hear before they get out of the car. And
you right there at the door.
Yeah.
Teachers
that's the last thing they saw
waving
before
at you.
Yes. And you're the one picking them up. I don't know. Corporations' goal is to make money. A dad's goal is to maximize his time and efficiency with his family.
While making money.
And for a minute there, for a couple of years, I felt like we were in a great spot.
Yes, was able to do both.
Even when the hybrid came, it was like, okay, I don't mind going a few days. Connect, be there, but then I got a couple days where I can get those things done. But when you make people come in full time, like you said, the little chores you could get done at lunch throughout the week, well, now you got that on the weekend.
Now you got that on the weekend.
So now Saturday, you got to spend the first 4 hours getting your chores done.
Exactly.
You couldn't get done, which is
cut the
taken
grass,
away
gotta weed eat. I got to do all this other stuff.
Right. So you're basically lowering employee salaries, adding hours to their work week that aren't even productive. Because now you're driving, you're adding the drive time, you're adding the weekend time with all the chores they could have gotten done at lunch. I mean, it does seem like a fuck you. And the people who are leaving those organizations are going to the companies who are still allowing it.
Yes.
It seems the market will eventually decide itself. And eventually, I think, in a year or two, I think you're going to find that a lot of companies are doing a hybrid.
Yeah.
Now, not everybody can do it. a mechanic.
No,
for
if
instance.
you got to be in, you got to be in.
If you're a plant worker. But, and so the argument is, well, it's not fair to the plant workers and the mechanics. Well, maybe it will incentivize them to get a different job.
Exactly.
Maybe go back to school. Maybe learn a new craft, something, you know.
And be able to get that time because...
Right. Why can't that be a dream for somebody instead of
Mhm.
everything having to be equal?
Because the most expensive thing in life is time. It's the most expensive time. If you get in trouble right now, what they gonna give you? Time in jail.
Time.
Right? Because they know you can't get that back. You know what I mean? You know you can't get the time back.
You know anybody that's been in prison for a long time?
Yeah, I got some family members that done some time.
Are they out or are they still in?
No, everybody's out. The people that was in there, they out now, and then that's the best thing about it.
Did it change them?
Then it change. A lot of times they don't even talk about it. To be honest with you, that's the craziest
Do you
part.
notice a difference? Like, do you feel like when they come out, like, for example, I've known people who have gone into the military and then when they come back, they're like completely different. Is it the same way with prison or not? So
No,
much?
like everybody was pretty much the same when they came out. They just got right back to, you know, what they were, what they was about being, and tried to, you know.
Did you hear any prison
evolve.
stories?
They never really talk about it.
Really?
My dad was a lieutenant in the at the Joliet Correctional Facilities in Chicago. You know, for like 15 years. And I got most of the stories from him, you know, of things like that, lockdowns, knives up to his neck, things like that.
So he was in the thick of it.
John Wayne Casey, he was locked up in Chicago, right?
Yeah.
At Joliet Correctional Facilities.
Really?
My dad was, yeah. I'm pretty sure that's the same guy. I gotta look at my phone.
The
but
clown dude?
John,
Serial killer?
Yeah, let me look this up, man. Let me
Wow.
look.
So your dad's back in Memphis now.
Yes. Let me see.
He sounds like a good dude. He raised you up pretty right.
Yes, sir. John Wayne Casey. Let me see. Yeah, locked up in Chicago, Illinois, and I'm going to Statesville and Crest Hill. We actually stayed in Crest Hill, Illinois. And so, yeah. Yep. So, yep, my dad, I'm telling me
pretty
stories
wild.
about that. Yeah.
What kind of guy is your dad?
My dad, man, he's a hard worker, man, a solid individual. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? A solid guy. He always told me, man, you know, you bust your ass, you know what I mean? You go out there and work where everybody else sleeping, you got to be out there getting it.
Him and your mom divorced when you were around 10?
Around
Who
10.
did you live with?
I live for both of them.
Okay,
I
so
live for both
joint
of them.
custody kind of deal?
Yeah.
So they were still, she hadn't moved obviously yet.
No,
She's
she didn't
in
move
Chicago
back.
now.
She in Chicago now. So what it is my majority of my adolescence I grew up in Memphis. Majority for all my time I grew up in Memphis. I was born in Joliet, Illinois. I was born in Joliet.
Yeah.
And we moved to Memphis like in '95.
Oh, so you already, what, 6, 7?
Yeah, 6, 7. Now the rest of that time was there. So, you know, you pretty much grow up. And all that other time, that's when
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I got you.
You know what I mean? And that's why I was able to get a little bit of that Chicago-ness. And my dad, you know, worked in Joliet. My mom she's always been from Chicago.
Yeah.
She's always been from Chicago. They moved to Chicago and around that
Right
time.
on,
I mean,
okay.
moved from Chicago to Memphis. And came back down. It was really when my uncle Charles had passed away, and my dad wanted to get back and around more family and things like that. So he moved to Memphis. Him and my mom moved to Memphis.
Okay. But so you still were with both your parents?
Yes.
They seem to have instilled a lot of good values in you. I mean, you obviously are a well-functioning individual raising a family. Like, what do you think it was about your parents? Like, what do you think they instilled in you?
Man, I think, you know, just my mom, what she instilled in me was always, you know, it was a lot of character, you know, man. You know, have characters. Go out and say what you, whatever you gonna do, be about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and, you know,
right
and actually go do it. You know, and letting us know what this world is, and you know, and you make the best out of things like that, or even just cleaning and things like that. So I knew I got a lot of that side from my mom. You know, my mom was a stay-at-home mother a lot of times, so she used to always make sure things were straight, cooking things of that nature and stuff like that. My dad was more on the working side. Hey man, you make sure you go to work.
Yeah.
You make sure you come out the gates running. You know, and I never knew what that meant. When it was like you get out of high school, come out the gates running, that means you don't stop now. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not the only thing that you know you do. You graduate high school. It's other things. It's college. It's other things to go out here and go do other than just stopping, right?
Right.
Because a lot of people just stopped.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people that grew up where they just stopped. And you're like, man, what happened to these people?
Yeah.
You know, so I think that my dad
Failure was an option.
Failure was an option. You know, and I guess that goes back to, remember when I was saying I was A's and B's in my house. So
Right,
if you
right.
can, you get that A. You know what I mean? Because it's one of those things as well.
100%, yeah.
I don't want the averageness going on. I don't want to accept. At least I don't want to be the one person that's pushing it all the time.
Right.
Pushing it and be average. Now, what you do when you get grown, that's more on you. But I don't want you to ever be like, hey, my parents just say, hey, it's cool to be average.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's cool to be average because I know what average is. You know, you seen a lot of people that just, you know, just being average. It's sometimes it's nothing wrong with those people either. You know what I mean? It's nothing wrong with that. You know, but I heard in this world, in today's society, you got to be above average to really live life.
Right.
You know, everybody has, you know, does everybody really live life? You know what I mean? Because
Yeah, but I also think it's like, I think a lot of people don't have that thing in them that says, I'm content.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I always need more, right? Like, for me, as long as I've got enough money to keep my kids at a happy level,
Yes.
like, that's enough.
Exactly.
I don't need to be rich. I don't need to be famous, man. I just want what I got right now.
Yeah, and be able to enjoy it, right?
Yeah.
You know, enjoy, and happiness is from within.
Yes,
but
it
it's
is.
so many people.
Money can't buy you
Money-
fucking happiness, dude.
It
Some of
can't.
those miserable people I know are the most.
It's the people
rich people I know.
most rich people, more well off. But what I guess it's the thing of
That's not always the case. I know
Not-
some very happy
yes.
rich people too.
Yeah.
But
and when people say money can't buy you happiness, sometimes I say, shit, you just ain't made enough. Because
well, it can buy you,
you know,
freedom.
It could buy, and that's what
It
you
allows
want.
you the freedom to do things you want to do, but it can't truly buy happiness.
It truly can't buy happiness.
Because there's a lot of poor people who are very happy and a lot of rich people who are
that's
miserable.
not. Yeah, but the majority. Okay, divorce rate. What's the majority? What's the majority of time they say a person get divorced on? It's finances.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
So when you and your wife might have an argument and say screw you, but when the bill's paid, you know what I mean? Got money go. When I say screw you, I can go over here to a bar and have me a drink or give me some food or things like that, and I can be able to go away for a couple hours and come back and everybody's happy. It's a different thing,
Yeah.
right? Now, but when the lights is getting ready to get cut off, things are going on like that. The kids can't get new shoes or things going on. Now that the little bit of you left a glass of milk out is really turning into, because now, man, everybody is so tensed up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when you can be like, oh, screw you, and then come back and nobody really cares.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But when money and things are so thin, that just pressure bust pipe. So
Yeah.
I also believe in that as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, money's one of those you gotta have it.
You gotta have it. But it can't be the rule of everything.
There you go.
It can't
I think
be the
people
rule of
put
everything.
so much importance on it that they keep chasing it.
Yep.
That the other things in their life that should be important are getting overlooked over that chase of
Exactly.
money. Whereas, I think if a lot of people could just get to a point, it's just everybody's different, and everybody deserves to put importance on what they want to put importance on.
Mm-hmm.
If that's money, that's fine. But one of my conservative aspects to my
Mm-hmm.
nature is family.
That's a fact.
I want to do better than my parents did. That's a natural.
And that's what you, and that's the main thing. Like, it's like, hey, I just want to do better than, I want your kids to have a better life than what you did.
Yes,
And-
and that's not saying anything bad about your parents. It's just saying I want to do for my
yeah.
kids a little bit more, and so far I have.
Yeah.
My parents worked their ass off to get where I was. My parents didn't have the opportunities that I had.
Exactly.
Their parents didn't have opportunities that they had.
But
the farther we get in life, the more opportunities we have.
And that's didn't come from you being average, right?
Right. Well, probably
Right.
not.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You're like,
you want
hey,
to push it up a little
like,
bit.
hey, I'm gonna go to college. I'm gonna go do this.
Right.
I'm gonna go learn something.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go get uncomfortable with. I'm gonna be comfortable. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Ooh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Things like that, because now you're pushing yourself so you can provide for your family.
Well, that to me is the toughest thing about being a dad is being uncomfortable, because you, like you said, get comfortable being uncomfortable. I don't like being uncomfortable,
Yeah, me either.
but you gotta be.
You got to get
if
comfortable.
you want to keep moving.
If you want to keep moving.
And that's the hardest thing for
Yeah.
me. Change, adaptation, learning new shit. You know, you get
Yeah.
set in your ways, and you got to constantly be
Yeah. And,
jucking and shiving.
and even with the, I know we aren't, but even with the move you did,
Yeah.
you're just like, hey, man, I want something different, man.
Gotta do something different,
I
yeah.
gotta do something different.
Mix it up.
Get some perks going on,
Yep.
but I have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable to keep elevating and get some of that back, right? Get some of
Yeah.
that. That move came with you getting some of that time.
But sometimes
back.
you got to force yourself to do it.
You got to force yourself to do it.
It's like getting up in the morning, you're in a cozy
Mm-hmm.
blanket, it's cold, and you're under those warm covers. You got to get out of bed.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get on with your day.
You got to.
And that's the way with life. You know, you get cozy with life.
Yes.
You're in a good spot, but sometimes you got
You just
to
gotta
push a little bit.
Just push a little
Yeah.
bit, and that pushing a little bit, you can get a little bit more out of life.
But also, like, I see both sides. You always got to keep pushing forward, or you'll get stagnant.
Exactly.
But at the same time, I think some people get obsessed with just never embracing the moment, and just it's like always.
Yeah, and that's a fact.
You got to stop and smell the roses.
You
sometimes
still got to
too.
stop and smell the
You
roses.
got to be in the moment.
You got to be in the moment.
Because-
Enjoy this.
You got a 13-year-old and 6-year-old,
Mhm.
right? Where'd those last 5 years go? Do you remember him when he was 1? Do you remember her when she was 9? I mean, those kids are gone.
Those kids.
You
are
never
good.
get
You never get
the
that.
days
Mhm.
that seemed long and maybe tedious at that age when they're young, and they need you more, and you're working harder as a parent when they're young. When they're older, they're you're more of a guiding.
Yes.
But when they're young, I mean, you're dressing them, you're wiping their diapers, whatever. And as they get older, I feel like if you don't appreciate those moments when they happen, and a lot of parents get in that negative mindset, oh, I've got to do all this stuff for my kids. But if you look at it as a blessing,
It's definitely.
it's like,
Yes,
I'm
sir.
getting to take care of this person. And yeah, there's hard night. My wife worked nights when our third one was born. So I had to get up in the middle of the night because she couldn't breastfeed him. She's at work. So I'd have to get up, and she'd have the breast milk bags. And so, but you can't
Yeah,
microwave
warm-
them. So you got to put them in
the
warm
stove,
water.
Yeah.
And so he, I'd get up with him crying every night and basically go heat up his milk and do the whole thing. And at the time, it's like, God, I'm so tired.
Yeah.
I don't want to be doing this. But now I look back at it, and it's like, man, I got to
Yeah.
be mama, for
Yeah, you got to
for that time when she wasn't home, and he didn't know it. He
Yeah.
was.
And he just need to be taken care of.
He just needed to be taken care of. But I started to understand some of what mamas feel, because like I'd feed him in bed with me, and the bed was right there. So we lived in here for 5 years.
Wow.
So the bed was basically right over there. So I'd feed him, and I'd put him in a crook, and I'd just put that bottle, and we'd just fall asleep together. So I'd wake up in the morning and have this little baby right there, and I was like, man, I kind of get it.
Yeah.
Like waking up with your baby, like the mama experience, like I fed him in the night, and then I woke up, and I should have put him back in his crib, but it was part lazy, part like I just want him to be with me,
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes.
And I don't know, I feel like there's something that bonds when you spend a lot of time with your kids when they're little.
Yes.
Invest.
And exactly, that's investing that time in them, because that's why if you invest that time with them now, they always come back when they're older.
Well, that's the goal, isn't it?
Yes.
I feel like so many parents are so eager to get their kids out.
Yeah.
It's like, don't you want them to come to Thanksgiving in 10 years?
Exactly. Or you want to be like, hey, I'm hanging out with my friends more than this. You know what I mean? Like, you want your kids to be like, hey, I know I got to go to my mom and dad's house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know I'm going over there. What you doing? There's no even a doubt what I'm doing.
No.
You know what I mean? I'm going to my parents' house. Or
But you got to earn it.
you got to earn it.
A lot of parents
They don't earn it. So now when their kids get grown, like, hey, you wasn't there anyway, right? So what am I missing out on now? Now don't try to come over here now when I'm 19, 20 and I got my own life going on. You know, you got to want them to be like, hey, man, I'm coming, 2-3 times out the week to come see my parents.
Yeah.
You know, hey, I got to come see my, Saturday, might not be able to hang out with you all day, but I'm going to come over there, hang out with your pops and maybe drink a cold one with you if it's your daughter. I'm going to help mom out there in the in the garden or, whatever she want to do for a couple hours. Her boyfriend might be, in my case, might be there, my son's girl. Yeah, come around. Hey, I got to stop in and see my parents. Sunday, we're going to eat a meal or something like that. And then maybe just one day out the week, I'm going to just step by, man, and see how they're doing. And then move on. You know what I mean? And that's what you want.
Yeah.
That's what you really want in life.
Does it bother you you're so far away from your parents?
No, because I seen my mama there. It does, because at a point where I can't just go pull up on them.
Yeah.
Right? Like you used to, like, hey, man, I'm a, could put the kids in the car. I'm going to go over there and shoot the breeze with my dad or go shoot the breeze with my mom.
Because that's something my relationship with my parents, and probably everybody, we've had our ups and downs, we had our problems, but
everybody.
But I love them and they're close, and so if I got to pop in, I pop in. That's something that I kind of take for granted. So hearing, your parent, you got one in Memphis, one in Chicago, and then you got kids. Seems like you'd want it to be a little tighter.
You definitely want.
So how do you navigate it?
You navigate it by making sure you go out of town to go see them. Right. My mom was just up here. She was just here Tuesday, Wednesday.
Okay, so she's coming down.
Yeah, so she was up here Monday, Tuesday. She's coming back up here in a few weeks, coming from Texas. She want to go see my other brothers and sisters. So
okay,
she'll be back. So I see her. And then my dad came up here in the summertime. I went to go see him a couple times. He's a little bit closer Memphis than Chicago. See my mama, and then I'll be back up there to Chicago to go see her. So you got to at least make 2 or 3 times out the year.
Yeah.
But then that sucks too because you said 2 or 3 times out the year, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you got family close, you can be like, you know what I mean? You don't have to go see them every day, but you can be like, hey, I'm going to go pull up on my moms on the weekends.
But see, that goes back to the bubble I'm in, man. Like all my family's here. Everybody pretty much. I got some in Dallas, but yeah, that's... And you want your kids to have a relationship with their grandparents.
You do.
Do they? Do the grandparents call them?
We talk all the time, so they talk on the phone.
So they do communicate.
They communicate. They
Good.
know who they are and things like that.
That's good. That's important in long distance relationships.
It is.
Keep that communication open.
Keep that communication open.
Yeah.
But it sucks though. I'm not gonna lie. You know what I mean? Because you're like, man, you do want to just go pull up on moms on the weekend or something like that. Or I'm gonna go pull up on,
Hey, what y'all got in the fridge,
what y'all got
man?
in the fridge?
What's going on?
Yeah, I'm gonna go see what's going on
100%.
with you. I'm gonna stop through for like an hour or so.
Yeah, just an hour or two. Pop in and your parents, just hang out.
Just hang out. That makes them feel good enough, and then they know, hey, you gone too. They ain't got about worried about you over there just messing with them all day. But it's just close enough to see them.
Yeah.
Close
one
enough
thing
to kind of have your own life.
Yeah, no, for sure. And everybody's relationship with their parents is different. But when I graduated high school, I hated my parents. I was smarter than them. They didn't know shit. And, I was this great thing. And you don't realize until you have kids, and then you're a parent, and you're trying to do the best thing for your kids, that you can start relating to your parents. Because there's 20 years between you. You're a generation apart. They grew up in a different world than you did. They're trying to do the best they can do. And then you're trying to do that. Yeah. And you can and I think my relationship's better with my parents now than it ever has been because I am a parent of teenagers now. And it's like, I don't necessarily agree with all the decisions my parents made.
But you understand them.
But I at least understand the position you were in.
Yes, because you don't understand it until you get older.
Or until you have kids.
Till you have kids, right?
Yes.
And then you be like, man, I do remember what my parents was trying to tell me. Maybe I couldn't remember then.
Right.
You know what I mean? Couldn't remember. I couldn't understand then. You know,
And there's no way you can understand because you don't have kids.
You don't have kids.
And I liken this to people in the workforce. It's like, if you're 40 and you don't have kids, you are still your number one priority.
you are.
You are by nature a selfish person. You have to be.
Yeah.
Because there is no one else you're taking care of.
Yes.
The day you have a kid,
All that
you
stuff.
drop from number 1 to number 3.
Yes.
Because mama and baby come first
That's
now.
a fact.
So now you're third.
You got somebody.
And now you got kid 2, kid 3, now you're 5th in line.
Yes.
So your needs come after
Every-
mama's, all babies.
Yes,
And so
yes.
you are last.
You're last.
But if you don't have kids, you're always first.
You're always
It's always
first.
about me. It's
Mhm.
always about me. And that's why I have a tough time with people my age who don't have kids. It's because they don't understand.
You don't understand. We can't relate. you
It's
know.
hard to relate on that. Now you can still be friends,
Yes.
but you're coming from such
Yeah.
different.
Now I can't hang out with you all the time. You can't. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I
Yeah.
got. I
Well-
got to schedule this in with between. I can go. But
Well, I just met a gal a couple weeks ago out at a dirt bike race,
mhm.
and she's a singer-songwriter, and she's just kind of getting into it and getting into her own, and I'd sent her some demos, and she's recorded some versions of my songs, and it's been really cool, and it's like, man, I'd like to put some lead guitar on this or whatnot, but she doesn't have any kids, and she lives by herself, and she's got all day to do this stuff, and I'm like, there's no way I can do it even in this 4-day span. We got to get our tree up. I promised Walt I'd do this with him. I promised Theo I'd do this with him. I promised Max I'd do this with him. I promised Mom I'd do this, right? Those are my priorities, right? And
That's
so
a fact. You gotta make
I got to come last. Do I want to work on some music, and do that? Yeah, I do. But I got to take care of what's mine.
You got to take
You
care
know,
of what's yours.
And
you
you've
know?
got to be okay with it. Used to, when I was a younger man, I used to get really jealous of it. It's like, man, you got all this time and you can do all these things.
Yes.
And now it's almost the opposite. It's like, man, those things.
Because you realize what's really important.
And there's going to be decades after they're gone where I'm going to have time to do that shit. When I'd rather be spending time with them.
Yes.
And that's what I'm going to have to do because they're going to have their families. And their families are going to be priority
Yeah,
1
they're gonna
through
be
5.
prioritized
I'm going to have time to do my things the rest of my life.
the rest of your life.
Right now, it's
As
you.
long as you invest and then focus on them, they'll always come back around. You know what I mean? And spend that. Make sure they spend that time and have that close knit time. And things.
Well, they don't always come back around because a lot of parents don't put the focus on the kids.
Yes.
A lot of parents are selfish and they do put themselves first.
They want to go run around. They want to go move around. They want to go hang out.
Their hobbies are above
Yeah.
the kids.
No,
and
it never can be that.
You know.
I always make sure I'm spending more time with my family than I am doing what I want to do. You know what I mean? If it is, now if everybody out playing a game at the house or everybody around there chilling, then I might sneak off and, go hang out for a little bit
Sure,
for
sure.
a couple hours. Because you still got to have that time for yourself as well,
you do.
too. But
you do. You
do.
really do.
You
You
know,
got to
you-
have some time for
You got to
yourself.
have some time for yourself. You got to have
But
that.
it's not, it can't be your priority.
It can't be your priority.
It's kind of like whatever's left.
whatever's left for that.
Whatever's left at the end of the
Yeah.
night. It's like, I used to be a gamer. My kids used to go to bed at 7 o'clock because they were little.
Now that's your time.
And my wife worked nights, so she'd just go to bed with the kids. So, be 7, 8 o'clock, and I'd fire at the video games. I'd play for 4 hours. Not a big deal. I got no responsibilities. Well, now, my oldest one's 14, so he's staying up till 10 with me, and we'll hang out. After the little kids go to bed, we'll hang out. And then when he goes to bed, now it's like, fuck, I just want to go to bed.
I don't got time
I don't
for
want
it.
to stay up 2 hours and get started on some game or something, or even record music. It's like, I just want to go to bed.
And that's just investing that time.
But it's like you put all your time into the kids, and then you hope that they make the right decisions. You hope that they turn out okay. As long as you do the best you can, and you can be proud of what their output is, as long
That's
as
the
they're
main thing.
trying and making an effort, and are not spoiled pieces of shit,
Yes.
and you can be proud of that, then it's all worth it.
It's all worth it.
It's all worth it.
It's always worth it.
Like, am I going to regret not playing 40 hours of video games in the
No.
last month? No.
It's
You're never
wasting
going to
time
regret.
anyway.
It's a waste of time anyway.
You know, but the time that you are spending with that is something that kids can always remember. And they'll be sitting here telling these stories. They might be on a podcast 10, 15 years later. My dad always made sure he did this, and that's something they can do with their kids. Instead of being selfish, being like, hey, I want to go hang out with my buddy. You know what? I'm going to spend this time with my kids.
Or you want an atmosphere, bring your buddies over here.
Yes.
Bring them over here, man.
Mm-hmm.
More the merrier. And
More the
that's
merrier.
kind of the way we are. Like, you want a friend over? Bring a friend over.
Bring a friend over.
Have them stay the night, have them stay the weekend, whatever. My little one's got a buddy that they have over probably like every third weekend. He comes over, stays the weekend with us. You know,
That's awesome.
welcome it. But hey, if you're going to be over here, you're going to be part of this family.
Exactly.
We're going to hang out, you know.
Hang out, get the communion going on.
Y'all get your time during the day. You go out, shoot your guns.
Mhm.
These kids will leave out of here. I remember one time, I don't remember what the situation was. They had this kid over. They get up at like 8 o'clock in the morning. They go out in the woods and start up a fire, make breakfast. And then
Wow.
they went on a hike for like 8 hours.
Wow.
And I said, take walkie-talkies so I can get a hold of you. They spent 8 hours just outside playing because they're used to that. I mean, they live out in the country, you know, so they
Wow, that's awesome, man.
yeah, they hike
It's
around.
almost like you see on TV, like back in the day.
It is definitely an anomaly.
You know what I mean? I forgot
they
what
can
that old
entertain
movie was. It was like
themselves.
5 or 6 boys. They end up going. You probably know what movie I'm talking about. They end up. I don't know what they was doing, but they end up going to a lake, getting leeches on them from.
Stand By Me
I think so.
with Will Wheaton.
Yeah.
Yes.
All those little teenage boys
Yes.
and things like that.
He gets the one in his underwear.
Yeah.
That fucking freaked
Yeah.
me out as a
Mhm.
kid. I'm still afraid of leeches.
You know what I'm talking
Yes,
about?
I know that movie. It's a
that
Stephen
movie-
King short story called The Body that they
Yeah.
made in a movie called Stand By Me. Yeah, I know exactly that movie. I see a lot of memes like with the kids' bikes lined up. Said, "Mom and Dad thought we were riding around the block for 8 hours, but
Uh-huh.
we were exploring an abandoned house
Yes.
and doing all this
They
shit."
were like in the woods and did all types of stuff. That was kind of what that reminds me of, man. And you
well,
know,
see, you're 88, so you didn't grow up with cell phones either.
no,
I mean,
maybe a beeper, it had beeper, maybe I'm like
you graduate. What year did you graduate?
07.
So by the time you were a teenager, you had them.
Yes.
But you
Yes.
didn't grow up with.
No,
every-
you didn't grow up, but you didn't grow up, you know, like, hey, I got my cell phone and flip on my cell phone and things like that. Now, I think the closest thing we may have had was like a pager. You know, we may have had a pager, cousin may have gave us a pager or something like that. And
Well, that's how I started, was with a page.
With a pager.
Yeah.
And begged my mom and dad to
Yeah.
keep it
Mom
on.
and Dad could page you.
Yeah,
and
keep
then,
it pager. And my mom always told me, keep at least a dollar worth of change in your pocket so you can go to the payphone and call home whenever you need
Yeah.
to. So
Beepers?
that was always thing. You never left the house without change in your pocket.
Yep. Change and a beeper.
Yep.
And then when you started selling drugs, you already had the beeper.
Oh, yeah.
You just slide right in.
Yeah, you can slide right in. You already got your beeper and everything like that.
Unless fucking the Mossad is blowing your pagers up.
Yeah.
And killing everybody, yeah.
But yeah.
But no, I remember I had a pager and then I had a Motorola cell phone. And
Yeah.
this thing was the size of a brick.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a bag phone. It had this little piece of plastic that came out that allowed you. It was like a flip phone, but you could just rip that thing off. The little speaker was right there. It was this thick, and the battery was most of that. And it had a
Yeah.
little antenna you pulled out, and it was just. But there was no texting on it.
No.
It was a 7-character screen.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
Orange looking screen or something.
there were green letters. It was a gray phone, but I remember it was the only one my family had. So it was whoever left the house took the family cell
Yeah.
phone. So I was usually the one gone. I was a teenager, so I would take it. I remember we were going to the movies at Fiesta Square. Still have a theater there. It used to be a Hastings there.
Hastings. Yeah,
But,
I was around when that was going on.
I was walking across the street and I dropped my phone walking to the movie theater, and there was a car coming. Both tires ran over the phone. It was my family phone. I was like, man, I'm fucked.
And it cost a lot of money back then.
Oh, God, yeah. They were expensive. It was the family phone. Both tires, dude. I go get that thing up. It is not scratch. It is completely fine. I didn't even have to tell my parents it happened.
Yeah, because it lasted. I mean,
Because that motherfucker was rock solid, dude. It got ran over by a car. And I told him since. And like years later, I told him that it happened.
But
but
I'm
it
not
was
about to get in
fine.
trouble for something. Yes, right now.
But now these phones, like, dude,
Yeah, you drop it when you're getting out
cracks
the
the
car.
goddamn glass.
Yes.
The screen's so big.
Mhm.
And like everybody puts their lives onto these phones. Me and Max went
Because
out-
now you walking around like this.
Well, no, dude. Me and Max went to eat lunch at JJ's yesterday, right when the Kansas City Chiefs game started. We are gonna watch the first quarter because they let you flip for your burgers when
Yeah.
the game starts. You heard of this?
At JJ's?
Yeah.
No, I heard you get like it's a certain like at a strange time you get like half off on beer, half off on wings.
No, the way they were doing it yesterday was if you order a burger at kickoff,
Okay.
you get to flip for it. And if you call the coin, you don't pay for your burger.
Wow. And did
We
you-
lost both flips, so we had to pay full price. But it was still a cool deal.
Yeah. It is.
But anyway, we're in there watching this game, and we're talking and watching the game, and I look around, and like, there's 4 or 5 tables there with full families, and every single one of them, it's right here.
Nobody having that time.
Nobody's looking at each other. Nobody's talking.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it wasn't every table. There were a bunch of other tables. Everybody's having a good time and stuff. But there were several tables with families, like a mother and a father and 3 kids, and even the little kids.
Yeah.
Doing this.
Nobody's over here talking.
Nobody's
And that's
even
when you gotta
looking
tell
at each
everybody
other.
like, hey,
It's like, isn't there a time and a place to put these down?
yeah, hey, when we eating, nobody on
can't-
this phone.
Like the dinner table might be a good time to put
Yeah.
this down.
We're gonna put this down and turn you into robots. I'm sitting there. I remember just my wife inside the store, and I'm just looking, just people watching. You see people all the time just walking like this, and don't care if they get hit by a car or not because they.
Dude, I see people driving like that.
Yeah, just swerving in every other lane. Like and because you got to look at this.
It terrified. Dude, I've seen so many people, well, since we started going back to the office, that are like, you'll see people swerving. You're like, man, they can't be drunk at 7:30 in the morning. You pull up beside them and they're
Yep.
checks in one hand and
Yep.
doing this. And you're like, whoa, boy. That,
And it's so easy just to get somebody a call or wait till you get to work.
just
whatever.
wait, dude.
Wait.
It's 15, 20 minutes.
Exactly.
I get it. Is it possible to text and drive? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to get you.
A lot of lives been lost on that.
I remember the way I learned, I always got to know where the fence is. And I was a texter and driver. And man, I looked up and the cars just stopped in front of me. Like, I was like, fuck. Because in that half a second, and I'm doing this, right? And I had to swerve onto the side and
Yeah.
just look like a fool. Like, man, I can't. That could have killed somebody.
Yes.
I don't know if there's a kid in that car. I don't
Yeah.
know what the fuck's going on. And it wasn't even an important message.
None of
It
it's
was
really
just-
important when you think
None
about it.
of it is. If it's important enough, they'll call you.
They'll call you.
And it's a lot easier to talk
It is.
and drive.
Because you can just put it
especially
on
with
speaker.
Bluetooth now,
Bluetooth
whatever.
speaker.
But texting and driving, dude, that's the one thing. Like, I'd rather my kids drink and drive than text and drive.
Yeah. Because at least you can just still
You
see
still
what-
watch the road?
Yeah. And have a cold one. But
We're not advocating drinking and driving
Never that,
kids.
never
or
that.
kids driving at all.
No.
But, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. But no, that's awesome, man.
Well, dude, it's been awesome that you came down. I'm real glad you did. I'd love to have you and your wife on sometime.
Okay.
I've done couples cast before. You got a husband and wife on, and just kind of interview them both. It's really fun. Think about it. Ask her. See if she'll do it.
How did that turn out?
The first one I did was with my cousin and his wife, and it was really fun. In fact, they both learned a lot about each other from being on the podcast.
Okay.
Even though they're married. I don't know. It's kind of a fun deal. I've done it a couple times. But I'd love to have her on if you want to bring her on with you sometime.
Okay.
She doesn't have to.
She's
I'm
the
just,
more introverted.
I know. That's why I think it'd
so-
be interesting. I'm just throwing it out there.
Okay,
You can shut it down, but it'd be fun.
No, I have to ask her if she wouldn't mind doing it, then I'll do it.
If she's not interested, don't worry about it. But I love having you on, man. Thanks for coming out.
Hey, appreciate it,
We'll
bro.
wrap this up.
Yes, sir.
Before we do, how was your Thanksgiving? I forgot to ask you.
Thanksgiving was great.
You stayed up here?
I stayed up here. My mom left that day before.
Yeah.
In the morning before. But my I had some in-laws that was over. My wife's parents, they came over. My brother came over, and I had a couple friends. They came over later that night. So we enjoyed it. It was pretty cool. I smoked the turkey. Didn't really stay up. I just put it on Wednesday after I got off work and things like that. Went to the store. Well, I had the charcoals and everything. I forgot what I went to the store for. Maybe a propane tank because I have outside on my deck and things like that, just so I can stay warm while I'm messing with it. So I just put my my turkey and duck on.
Duck?
I had duck.
Where'd you get the duck?
Just Walmart.
They sell duck?
They sell duck.
No shit.
Yes. So I went to Walmart, put that bad boy on. I let that smoke for like 5 hours. Woke up the next morning. Well, I woke up like 1 o'clock in the morning. Filled up my my grill up some more, my smoker.
Oh, you were for real?
Yeah. Stuck a whole lot more wood in there. Boom, got back up like 4 hours later. Took the turkey off. Nice and juicy. We ate good.
You got any dry meat at your house?
No dry meat.
None of that shit.
No, I don't like the dry meat.
How is duck? I've never eaten duck.
Duck is very greasy.
Is it greasy? I've heard it's greasy.
It's greasy. It's really greasy, but and that means it still has a lot of flavor with the juice. And
Yeah,
things like
it
that.
would certainly have flavor.
You know, but it's very greasy. But I enjoyed it.
You like a duck? Have you ever hunted duck?
Never.
I've heard duck hunting sucks.
For real?
I've heard, yeah.
I don't
Get out there in the water early in the morning and
getting all wet and cold and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
No, I never did it, but I
I've
like
never
to
been
eat
duck hunting.
it. I like to eat it. And then my wife made pretty much everything else. The only thing I did was my wife and my daughter made everything else. The only thing I did was the meat.
It's nice having a teenager in the house, right?
It is.
You got a capable human being
Capable
that can
human being
help.
that can, that's
Closer to an adult than they are a kid, so you can like assign them some things that can get done effectively.
But no, she did great. She did great. She made the pies. I think she either what did we have? We had mashed potatoes. Yeah, we had mashed potatoes and things like that. Sweet potatoes, dressing, all that good stuff like that. So we ate good greens and baked macaroni and cheese.
How's Christmas shaping up? Y'all got presents picked out?
Yeah,
you know what you're doing?
We got presents picked out. Actually, I got my wife's stuff in the garage. I gotta wait till she move around somewhere so I can stick it up under the Christmas.
Don't say what you're getting her in case she watches this. What are you getting the kids? Because they probably won't watch it.
Get JJ and get him a go-kart.
Are you really?
Yeah. I'm going to get him a go-kart. I found one for pretty decent that for kids ranging from like 6 to things like that. It's like the battery-packed one. But
That's
it
fine.
goes pretty fast. It's like 50.
But you live in a neighborhood, right? So you can zoom around.
Yeah, you can zoom around. So that's what I'm getting him.
Perfect.
And he likes this little.
That's going to be killer, dude.
Yeah, he likes his Nerf gun, so I'm giving him a couple of Nerf guns.
Yeah.
And Aaliyah, she just at that age where she just won't close. Because
Really?
she got everything else she wants. She got iPads.
Yeah.
Cell phones and things like that.
13-year-old girl, man. What are you going to do?
Yeah, that's what she wants. She wants her clothes. But
You let mama pick those out?
yeah, I don't mess with that. I don't mess with that.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know.
Give her some money for it, and that's about it. But
I'd just be getting camo coveralls.
yeah,
she wouldn't want any of that.
Yeah, she wouldn't want any of that. But that's and that's
You
at
gotta
the
let mama
great-
pick that shit out.
Yeah, because they like the same thing.
Yeah,
They love
That's
like
cool.
the same thing.
Are mama and daughter close?
Very close.
Are they? Cool.
They're very close, man. That's one thing I appreciate. So we just try to stay close in the family, and be very tight knit and things like that.
I just thought I was about to wrap this up, but then I thought of something
No, go ahead.
I gotta delve into. Has your daughter started dating yet?
No.
That's why you're not in jail, right?
That's why I'm not in jail. I don't
Well,
think
one
I'm
thing I
allowed
always
after about
ask-
16.
What I've always said that like God chose not to give me daughters because I'd have been in jail as soon as they
Yeah,
were
because
old
now
enough.
you gotta watch out for everything and make sure that they're not getting tricked out of it.
Well, your dad mode's about to switch here in a couple of years.
Yes.
Bro. You're gonna have to be on defense.
You gotta play a whole lot of defense.
Have you started thinking about that yet?
Yeah, and then I let her know as well too. You gotta and you gotta do that early. Because kids sneak around all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I had my cousin's husband's a good friend of mine, Audie Overton. He's been on the pod several times, and he's got all daughters. They got none of them girls. I was like, and they got teenage girls. Like, how do you how do you as a dad, kind of get in there and establish yourself, as a character in their lives? And he was talking about how the girls, when he was in high school, you could tell kind of who the easy girls were, right? Like the girls you could get with.
Yes.
And none of them had close relationships with their dads.
Fact.
And so he was like, my strategy is going to be, I'm going to be as close to these girls as I can be. They can come to me for anything. That way they don't need that male attention somewhere else.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Is that...
No, that's...
That sound right?
Yes, that's a fact.
You give that daughter that attention, and she doesn't need that attention from
She don't need it.
Yeah.
You let your daughter know...
She got a daddy who's giving her...
Yeah, that's a fact.
Yeah.
You let your daughter know when she wearing something nice, when you know she done went in there and, did her hair or something. Baby girl, you look very nice today. You look beautiful. Yeah. Man, I love you. You look great. You're
beautiful lady.
You're a beautiful lady.
Yeah. Give her
when you
validate that girl.
When you constantly validating that,
she don't need it from some...
She don't need it for somebody else. Now, she can say thank you.
Sure.
But that's not going to make her day.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? And then it probably will make her day because everybody wants to be, it always feel good when somebody say, hey, man, you look nice.
Yeah.
That's but it's not going to make or break somebody.
Sure.
Right? When your dad's
if you're desperate for attention of any kind.
If any kind.
Yeah.
Now, that's the one that's going to be. You know what I mean? When you got a father that's there, you beautiful.
Well, that really hit me when he said that.
Yeah,
like,
man,
that's fucking strategy right there.
That's it. And
love those girls.
Yep.
To where they know they're loved and they got a daddy no matter what. And that way, and not that that's a perfect strategy. I mean, things are going to happen, but that's, I think, the best way you can lay that foundation.
And I think if you talk to most women, a lot of women might say that I have daddy issues because my daddy wasn't around. Or my daddy wasn't.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And,
for real.
And,
that's true.
And you need your father to be there and talk to you, give you that confidence about yourself and let you know, it's more than that. To hang out with you, kick it with you, goes back to being able to drop your daughter off, see what's going on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, no, you're right. Like, a lot of the girls that are the most slutty are the ones who have daddy issues.
Yeah, they have daddy issues because dad's not been given any attention.
Yeah.
Right?
No, it made a lot of sense to me when he said it, but I'm still glad I don't have girls because I think if my oldest one was 14, I'd probably be in jail by now.
Yeah, because somebody's going to be over. You always got to watch.
And here's the thing, because I was a fucking pig, dude.
Yeah.
When I was a teenage boy, there's only one thing I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So if I'm a daughter of a 14-year-old girl, I know what all you motherfuckers are trying to do.
Yeah.
And it ain't happening.
And you got to let them know that it's off the top as well, too. Don't ever get a fool. Everybody want one thing. Everybody. Now, are you going to be the fool that's going to give that one, get tricked out of that one thing?
Yeah.
So that's what you always got to let them know, too.
It really is got to be tough being a female.
It is.
Like going through that, especially the teenage years. You're getting all this attention all of a sudden that you've never had before.
Yeah.
But everybody got one goal.
Everybody got one goal.
And you got to play goalie for the rest of your life.
You got to play goalie for the rest of your life. So never get tricked out of it. You know what I'm saying? Get tricked out of it. Mm-hmm. And you make yourself, I don't know, it's definitely kind of, it's definitely, but
you don't want to be overbearing and overprotective.
Then you could
push them.
You can push them into it.
Exactly. You'll push them into it.
You can push them into it.
You just got to be chill.
You got to be chill. Always.
I love you.
Love you. You're beautiful.
I'm always here.
I'm always here. You know what I mean? You always give them that. Have that time with them, talk with them.
Yeah.
And it goes back to what you're saying. You can't have all that time for you when your daughter is 16 years old.
No.
You know what I'm saying? And
you're not important right now.
Yeah.
I mean, not to be an ass, but like
you
are. You're more important than ever, but in a different way than you probably. Like you're important, but you are a dad. Mm-hmm. Your needs are not important. That's what I'm trying to say.
No, that's a fact.
Doesn't matter what you need to be doing right now or want to be doing. What you need to be doing is raising these kids.
What you need to be doing is raising these kids, and they know when their father is in their life because they know their father not going for that any type of deal.
Yeah.
I know I can't pull up over here pregnant when I got a father over here. Or I know I cannot be hiding, doing all this old crazy stuff. Or, you know, when the father's not around, you know, a mother's just gonna, you know, sometimes, I mean, mother's gonna be, mother may be like, oh, that's great, you know, man,
Yeah.
you dating and things, but your father gonna be like, hey, I need to watch out. My father's at home.
Well, I've probably told you this before, just in private conversations, but like my wife's gotten on to me before. It's like you get on to those boys sometimes. Like, Mama, they're boys. They need to know where the line is because they're boys.
Yes.
Like, they know where my line is,
Yes.
and they are afraid to cross it because I will become a scary person if you cross that line, and there's going to be hell to pay. Whereas I think sometimes mamas don't want to be mean.
Yeah, they don't want to be mean.
To boys. Whereas I got no problem being mean if I got to be mean.
Or sometimes they want to be the friend.
The friends, yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm here to be your friend.
I'm not here to be.
I'm here to guide you and protect you.
I got all your life to be your friend.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You got all your life to be your
We'll
friend.
be friends when you have kids.
When you have kids,
Right? Yeah.
When you got them around, well, you know, I'm over here telling you hey, yeah, that's like what you do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Hey, I can watch them for you while you go ahead and go hang out for a little bit. You know what I mean?
And you do want to be friends with your
Yes.
kids, but you can't be.
You can't be friends.
Not until your job is done.
Because, exactly.
Yeah.
Because when it start being your friends, then you can be disrespectful.
Exactly.
Right? Because now you can talk shit to your friends, right? You want your son talking shit to you? You know what I'm saying? Or thinking he could buck up at you and
Right.
say anything? Because you and your
Right,
friend
right.
might be able to push and shove and see each
Yeah.
other later on the next day. You never want your child getting that comfortable where you think he can, you know, it's always a boundary. You know, we're never equal. You got to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know.
I get it, but I think a lot of parents nowadays do exactly that. They want to be friends with the kids, and then they act all surprised when the kids.
Oh, you like told me to F off and you know what I mean? Things like that.
Yeah. No, but you also don't want to be. You don't want your kids to be afraid of you. Like, you don't want to be the generation of parents that, you know, my parents had, where the father only interacted with you when it was disciplinary.
No.
That was the only time you ever saw dad was when the paddle came out.
Yes.
Because he had his own things to do, and if the only time he interacted with you was negative.
Yes.
And there's a whole generation of kids that went through that.
It's a lot of them. You know what I mean? And you don't want that either because now you're just the bad guy, right? Right now they just know when the bad guy coming in because he's only over here to discipline me and things like that. So now you want to be, you know, you
It's
just
a balance.
It's a balance. Like, no, let your mama discipline you. Then when I get here, I'm gonna discipline you too. So you know what I'm saying, or at least talk to you or tell you why you got disciplined. You know, even discipline's not all the time giving a whooping.
Well, communication is good
you know
too.
What I mean? And,
a lot of parents will do things and not explain. Like, I've always found the best thing is honesty, transparency. You understand.
You understand why you get
what is happening.
Yeah.
Why this is happening.
So you know, I'm just not over here disciplining you, and you just like, man, I don't really get what. I mean, you know you did something wrong, but you got to really understand what you did and the reason why I'm disappointed. A lot of times, not even if you did something wrong, it's the reason, you know, why I'm disappointed and why you did this action right here.
100%.
And this is why you're on punishment. You know what I mean? And hopefully you don't do it again, or you gonna do it again. We all humans. We all gonna mess up. We all gonna fuck up. But
every one of us,
every one of us. You know what I mean? And if you act like you don't all the time, then you like a goody two shoes because your kids know when you're messing up too. Like you said, they looking at
they're observing all the time.
Observing all the time. You know what I mean? They observe everything that we do.
And so are we, though. I mean, you know, we observed our parents at that age.
Yes.
And I'm guarantee you there's things you said, when I'm a parent, I'm not going to do this that my parents did, and I'm going to do this differently.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to keep this. I really like this. But it's kind of our jobs as parents to curate what we liked and didn't like about what our parents did. You know, there's a lot of things that my parents did, like traditional things. Like my mother was big on tradition. And I love tradition. I'm sentimental, you know, like we have traditions and things, but there's certain things my parents did that I just didn't agree with, and I'm going to do it a different way.
Yes.
You got to do what you think's best for your family.
You got to.
And your kids.
You have to.
And make the best decisions you can, and hopefully you got enough communication and openness with your wife as your partner in this to communicate how you can be aligned in raising these kids, because the last thing you want is your parents disagreeing on how to raise the kids, right?
Yeah.
Because then one kid goes to dad and dad says yes, and,
Yeah.
but mom says no, and then they're fighting about it. Like, parents need to be aligned.
You got to be aligned.
And, more than anything, no marriage is perfect.
Yeah.
People act like their lives are perfect on social media, but nobody's lives are perfect. But if you can align on things like how to raise your kids,
That's the main thing.
things like that, then that takes a lot of the fucking stress off. Because if you're aligned on how we want these kids to be raised, everything else can fall into place.
It will. You gotta be aligned when you're raising your kids.
You do.
You gotta be aligned.
You really do. But sometimes it's some hard conversations. And you need to have those hard conversations to say, hey, I know you think this, but I think this. Where can we get here? Where can we get here? And I don't think people talk enough.
No.
That's part of the reason I started this podcast. I want to get people talking.
Get people to talk and get them out of
Husbands and wives talking.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Get 'em
how
out
do
their
we get through navigating this with our kid instead of me just reacting by myself? Talk to your wife, talk to your spouse. Like, how do we need to handle this strategically? What's aligned for our family, and what's a standard that's going to be set?
Yes.
Every kid you got to raise differently, but there have to be lines, there have to be standards.
Have to be bound.
And if you can get behind how to raise a child with your wife, that to me just really kind of settles and squares things.
Because we putting a human being out into this world.
Putting somebody out into the world, you're responsible for that human being.
Mm-hmm.
It reflects back on you,
Mm-hmm.
But again, it always goes back to nurture. We can do everything right, and sometimes that nature can crop back up, but all you can do is the best you can do. But the thing I love about your attitude, my attitude, is like, if you invest in them
You gotta
and make them your number one priority above all else, hopefully that love will show profit later versus having the kids to be an afterthought of something I got to take care of after everything else. Put them forward. You don't want a spoiled kid who's acting out and just thinks they can get everything they want and be a shit.
You gotta know those consequences.
There's that kind of too. It's all about keeping it in the middle, but it's a constant struggle, and you're always having to adapt and move. Your kids get older, they get into different things, they get around different people, different influences, and you just want them to be able to have a place they can come home to and get the truth and the facts and somebody that's there for them.
No, you're right about that.
And sadly, that's not an option for a lot of kids.
It's not.
It's such a simple thing to you and me, but like,
A lot of
be
kids
there
that-
for your kids, man.
A lot of kids don't get that,
That's all that matters. No, they don't, and that's really sad.
you know, and it grows up and it shows.
And if they don't learn good habits from their own parents, and when they have kids, now they're just winging it and probably using. I've had people admit to me on the podcast, I knew it was wrong, but I raised my kids the way my parents raised me because that's how I knew how. Even though I knew it was wrong.
Even though you knew it was wrong.
Even though you knew it was wrong.
And that's
Because
not the
that's the way it was done, and I just went with that. Even though I hated it, I became my parents.
And now you
Bro.
Now you gonna let your kids come with some.
Now your kids are going to have to be fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
And have to make that decision. Do I keep on the cycle,
No.
or do I say, hey, every parent needs to put a stop on the cycle and say, what was
me
good
break
and what
this.
was bad? What are the pros and cons about how I was
I'm
raised?
gonna take the good.
Take all the good, get rid of the bad, and replace it with something that's better.
Yeah, because we all got something that's bad and good, and that's what you want to do. But you just want to make sure there's more good than the bad.
Well, ain't none of us perfect anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as you're putting in that effort and you're making, you're trying,
Yes, that's the main thing.
because that is our, I think, most valuable resource is our children, is our future.
Yes.
They're the ones going to be taking care of us,
Yeah.
not too long from now.
Yes, they're gonna be taking care of us, making the decisions for us. Like
And it's the difference between us being in a nursing home
Mm-hmm.
with no visitors or us living with our kids and them taking care of us.
Exactly. Yeah, I most definitely rather be having my room in the back, and have my kids' house, and have my little car, my little pickup truck or whatever I'm riding in, and I'm over here. They could be like, hey, Paul, can you go pick the kids up from school while we go do this or whatnot? I'd much rather have that, but you got to invest.
You got to invest. You got to put in the time. But it's also, there's also discipline involved.
Mm-hmm.
That's the part of parenting I hate the most is discipline.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't mind doing it because I
do it.
know it's necessary.
Yes.
And if we don't put a stop to this bad habit, it's going to run
Yes,
rampant.
you can't just let anybody just run rapid.
Yeah. You gotta change behaviors. You gotta navigate. You gotta do the hard shit.
Yes.
You can't be lazy. It's parenting's hard work.
It's very hard.
But if you're willing to do it and willing to put in that investment, then, hopefully you're not alone when you're 90.
That's the main thing. You never want to be that. You want to be like...
And that's not why you do it.
No,
you do it to make your kids successful.
To make your kids successful. But you definitely never want to be lonely. You don't want to die alone in the house. Some people got a big, nice house, and then you're just the only one that's there at the end. I would rather sell the house or let my kids have it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I move in with my kids, and after I'm gone, then they can do whatever they want to do with it. But I'd rather be around family,
Well, I know people who are just a little older than me whose kids won't even talk to them. Like they've cut off all ties, and it's like, man.
Yeah, I know it too.
You get here somehow.
Mm-hmm.
You don't just accident into that. I don't believe.
I know that as well too. It sucks, but I definitely know it all as well too. Some people that's like that.
You got to work at the shit that's important, man. Dude, thanks for coming on.
Hey,
awesome.
Appreciate
to see
it, Brad.
you, brother.
Yes, sir.
Hope you continued success in your role, and hope I get my shit figured out.
No,
too,
you will, man. You will.
We'll be in touch, man. Have a good Christmas with your kids. I can't. Tell me how it goes. I want to hear what they think about all the Christmas celebrations and shit. We'll be in touch.
They'll love it.
Be in touch. Brother, episode 63. Thank you much, my friend.
Man, thank you for having me.
And by the way, if anybody didn't know, this is not the country singer Justin Moore.
Oh,
if you're
man.
just now tuning in,
oh man, this
thinking you were going to get Justin Moore, the country singer, we should have probably announced that at the beginning.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, have a good one. Thank you.